Yo, 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 yo. What is up? What is up? I am back from my week-long pilgrimage to the Windy City. It was fun, though. To hang out with some friends, eat some good food, on some nice walks, even though it was raining the whole time, except for the day we left, which kind of pissed me off. But, good time. Kind of cold open though into this so we can make some more progress. So we're about halfway done with the story now in terms of chapters, and definitely in terms of lengths, because chapter 5 was the biggest chunk we had to deal with. But we need not concern ourselves with the epic that was chapter 5. you know Anyways, see, the volume's working. Right, extra configs. Be fine. I might take a break midway through to get some water. Yeah, it's better to do it later to stretch my legs when I'm sitting too long, I suppose. But what happened last time? Last time, Sojiro moved in with both Alice and Alco after the epic that was chapter 5 at the amusement park. It was at Kitsy Land. So I guess this will be probably like this. I imagine this is kind of a not a filler, but it's, them just cohabitating. Let's go. Also, they did lore dump a bunch about the witching world and how that operates. Once, long ago, I saw a beautiful bird fly overhead. Round and round, it circled the distant blue sky. How high it flew in this era when humans, not birds, reigned supreme. And yet the bird was completely uninterested in humanity's endless desire for expansion, our creation of even higher homes, or the smoke bellowing from industries' chimneys. The sky extends further than the eye can see. It belongs to not one, not now, not then. The bird was a truly noble creature, flapping his wing powerfully across the wind, the wild, ancient sky. Oh. Well, so much for that. Until the sound of cold iron. A wing is shot, its symmetry gone forever. Cruel and tragic, its body plummets downwards. Now that I think about it, were birds ever the supreme species just because they spec into evading danger of the ground? I don't know if I call it supreme prior to mammalian tool making. Cruel and yeah. Ugh. That no one gets fate. The bird frantically beats its wings till the very end. One moment soaring with eyes to the sky, the next crashing down to the dry, hardened earth. This was the dream I saw. No matter how much I thought about it, its details remained clouded. What did the bird look like, for instance? Are you for real?
はい、今日の授業はここまで。
Alright, class dismissed.
試験範囲の総まとめなんかやっちゃいましたけど、これうちのクラスだけですから、よそのクラスには内密にお願いしますね。
We still don't know this.
検討を持ってください。
Excuse me. Still don't know this guy's deal. Like, is he just the pseudo charismatic, popular young teacher for the story's purpose, or does he actually have some involvement? Super Mario, I definitely think knows something, or his dad knows something, and therefore he's going to get involved. But I actually have no clue what he is, except maybe he's a school teacher. I don't know. That's everything that would be on the test. Please don't share it with the other classes. You're the only ones I'm thinking of it as a homeroom bonus. Think of it as a homeroom bonus. I don't know why there's a dash there.
原告の平均点ぐらいは学年一番にしておくと皆さんも鼻が高いと思いまして。
Remember, if this class gets the highest scores, you can brag about it to all the other classes. Mr. Yamashiro chuckled as he finished. This was typical of the kind of teacher responsible for Year 2 Class C, the master at relaxing his pupils.
先生、口元に本音出てる。鼻を高くしたいのは私たちじゃないですよね。
You got it wrong, Mr. Yamashiro. You're the one who's after the bragging rights.
鼻っていうかメンツですよね。先生、里中先生に嫌味言われてばっかりだし。
Yeah, then he can finally get Mr. Sakanaka off his back. We know he's been making fun of you all semester for all our bad grades.
つうかはっきり言えばいいんすよ。お前ら頭悪すぎだって。いやまあうちのクラス見事なまでに体育会系ばっかりだけどさ。
We're like totally washouts, except for our totally excellent sports skills.
いえいえ、テストの点数だけが学生生活ではありませんから、僕から言うべきことは何も。
Please, though, might not see much coming from me. High school is more about just your test score.
先生方もそこまで目くじら立ててるわけじゃないので、別にクラス全員が赤点でも僕の人生には何ら関わりはないんですけどね。
Teachers don't really care that much about your grades, you know. Even if you all fail, it's not like anything bad will happen to us. Is that true? I guess technically, if you don't care about your job.
しかし一方では一人厄介な御人がおりまして。
But there's one student who does bother me.
皆さんが選んだ全校生徒代表の方なんですが、これが恐ろしいのなんの。
I think you know who I'm talking about. You chose her to represent the entire student body. A monumentally awful decision.
テストの点数が低いのは生徒ではなく教育する側が無能だからです。教育委員会への報告準備はいつでもできていますので、と日夜脅してくるんですよ。
Okay, maybe Alco's evil. Makes a daily point to report me to the Board of Education. Claim my students' grades are the result of poor instruction rather than the lack of studying.
それでも生徒たちが治らないようなら、その時は直接私が監督します。とか、生徒としてどうなんですかね、あれ。
She said if a student's scores don't improve, she'd come to supervise my classes herself. What kind of student even says such a thing? What kind of student does say such a thing? What? She's on one. They all just saw. Okay. They all get it. The warm atmosphere in the room suddenly fell below freezing. The students of Class C now knew who their true enemy was.
ああ、そっか。山城先生生徒会の顧問だったっけ。ナムナム。
I forgot Mr. Yamashiro was the student body advisor.
さすがは応援団を立ち直らせた女傑。教師一人退職に追い込むなど造作もね。
The student president managed to revive the cheer squad, so I wouldn't be surprised if she can force a teacher out of their job too.
やっぱりな。会長絶対年サバ読んでるって。あの迫力、同年代と思えねえし。
Yeah, I heard she can guess the teacher's ages with 100% accuracy. I can't believe she's the same age as
ほらうちの女子と比べると特にこうおっぱい的に
I mean, look at her compared to other girls in our class. Her boobs are way bigger. What
先
is wrong with your
生
head?
木の実だけでも A 組に来とってもらえませんか？そりゃ男子はみんな猿ですけど、こいつだけレベルの違う猿ですよ絶対。
OMG, please get Kenomi moved to Class A. It's hard enough for class full of apes, but he's such a pig.
あれでも女子 A 組だけどあんまり成績良くねえよな。中の上ぐらいじゃなかったっけ？
That girl doesn't even get the grades for a Class A member. Kind of middle pack, right?
そうだけど別にいいんじゃない？塾も行ってないし生徒会仕切ってたまにバイトまでしてるんだから。あれで学年トップだったら逆に気持ち悪すぎ。
That's the point, dumbass. She doesn't need to go to cram school. She's on a student council and sometimes does a job or two. Behave, she got awesome grades too. Trying to think. I mean, yeah, the cram school thing was pretty big. Being on student council or doing jobs doesn't. I don't think it would impact too bad, unless the school is like immensely advanced. Even though it's like a was it pseudo private school? I don't even know.
だよな。周囲は副会長に任せとけばいいんだよ。
Totally. You should leave the good grades to the vice president.
まあまあ皆さん噂話はそのあたりで地獄耳という言葉もありますから
Alright. That's enough gossiping. Everyone. It's not nice to talk about people behind their backs.
じゃあそれなりに復習をよろしくあんまり点数が悪いと冬休みそのものがなくなりますからね
In any case, good luck with your studies. Remember, if your grades don't improve, then the winter vacation gets canceled. The
それと
winter
しずき
one?
君
Oh
ちょっ
wait,
といいですか
what's winter? Wait, that's actually a dumb question. Is it winter in Japan when it's summer here, or is it still considered winter because it's the winter months? Might be an American moment. No, Suzuki, can I have a word before you go? Shamshiro gathered his fangs and beckoned for Sojiro to join them in the hallway. Alright, yeah, that makes sense. There were no other students to be seen despite it being break time between classes. Voices were audible in the distance, but the hall itself felt strangely quiet and calm. Perhaps it was due to the sense of confinement created by the lack of windows. Usually the students spent their breaks either in the classrooms or on the veranda. Veranda?
何ですか山城先生
Veranda. I don't know. What is it, sir?
いえそう大した用事じゃないんですけどね
Oh, nothing
試
major.
験前にこんな話をするのもデリカシーがないんですが気になったので
Sorry to bring this up right
学校
before
には慣れたか
exam.
な
I've been meaning to ask. How's everything going with school? You settling it alright? Lie. Please lie. Please, for the love of God, lie. Though his level of concern from a teacher startled him, Sojiro felt reassured. It was only natural. After having had to deal with such difficult personalities lately, Mr. Yamashiro's trivial questions were refreshing.
はい学校の作りや決まりなら自分なりに分かってきました友達も増えましたし
I think I understand basics of school life for now. And I've made friends too.
そっかそれはよかった
Good, good.
うちのクラスは口の悪い面々だけどその分気を使わなくていいからねしずきくんと相性が良くて
Dude,
助か
you
ったよ
just... You're like an Alice. You just keep yapping. Good. Glad to hear it. Students in my class tend to mouth off, so don't take them too seriously. I'm glad you're able to fit in. What's he said? Shoto's eyes shone brightly in appreciation. In Alko's words, Mr. Yamashiro was a brutish, forgettable, downright detestable man who did not even deserve the title of a teacher. But Sojiro found him considerate in his own way.
アルバイトもほどほどにね試験前だって言えば大抵のところは休ませてくれるからあまり無理はしないように
Take it easy with part-time jobs. You give students a lot of time off before exams, but don't put yourself too hard.
また試験で困ったことがあったら周りに相談しなさい。一人で悩んでいても時間の無駄だよ。ほら、学校っていうのは話し相手にだけは困らないから。
If you have trouble with exams, just ask the other students for help. You don't need to suffer in silence. If the school has anything, there's plenty of people to talk to. He has to be evil. He's way too nice. A wave of his hand, Mr. Yamashiro was gone. The pure-hearted Sojiro gave him a solemn nod, as if to say he accepted the advice of his so-called forgettable teacher and went back to his classroom. Actually, I remember, Sojiro, you did tell anyone about the lady in the pachinko parlor who clearly is a mage. But I guess it was forgettable. Don't you have to go back to work there? Like, then...
女のことで相談だ
Come again? You want my advice about girls? Sojiro had not wasted a moment in putting Mr. Yamashiro's advice into practice.
そうらしい。難問にぶち当たっているんだ。
Yeah, it's like I hit a wall with them.
深く考えてみて気づいたんだが、どうも自分は発想が貧困らしい。
I thought about it and thought about it. I realized I'm no good at figuring them out. Sojiro averted his eyes out of shame over his lack of insight.
いや、豊かだと思ってたことがびっくりなんだけど。まあいい、こっち来い。
Could have fooled me. I thought you were the man with the ladies. Well, he comes to the right guy. Follow me. Maybe the worst guy. Shocked as he was, Hinomi grabbed Sojiro by the shoulder and pulled him over to the wall. Hinomi had nearly burst out of laughter when Sojiro, with a straight face, had admitted his difficulty with girls. But he realized it was the first time Sojiro had ever turned for him for advice. Sojiro was always able to break down any task at his part-time jobs into bite-sized pieces, but he was clearly struggling with a different problem now. It was going to take some serious effort. I could already tell this chapter is going to be just some bullshit. He's cooking some bullshit.
で、なんかやっちまったのかいや。
Okay, give it to me straight, pal. How big did you screw up?
これからやるのかもしれない。
Didn't screw up yet. What might happen soon?
木の実、例えばの話、マッドベアにハリセンボンみたいな女の子が入ってきたとする。
Say a girl walked into the mad bear, who's as prickly as a porcupine. What is
そ
he
の子は
talking
俺
about?
が嫌いで、マッドベアから出て行ってほしいようなんだけど、
She
俺
doesn't
は
like
マ
me
ッドベアをやめるわけにはいかない。
and wants me to leave, but I don't want to. Sojiro explained that he couldn't just quit his part-time job at the restaurant. He needed the money. And then he grunted a few times to indicate he was still following Sojiro's story.
つまりその女を追い出したいと。
So, like, you want the girl to split?
逆だ。なんとか認めてもらいたい。
No, I want her to be okay with me working there.
隠していたけど、俺はその女の子が嫌いというわけじゃなくて。
Because the thing is, I sort of don't like her. I mean, that's fair. She did try to kill you. She did order you to be killed. Tried to kill you. Let her creature almost kill you again. Then mildly tortured you to show you don't belong. And then, was willing to break a deal to kill you again in your sleep. Or I guess she had the audacity to, or the respect to do it while you were awake, I suppose. Yeah, I think it's fair that, like... Although I haven't listening back, I feel like compared to part 1, my speaking has gotten better. Now, I was asking around, especially when I was in Chicago, I was wondering if anyone else noticed anything who knew me back then. But it might be purely psychological, what am I trying to say? Not dilapidation, what am I saying? My not disability, my ailments, my ills. Sojiro furrowed his brow. Konomi could not help but laugh at his friend's lack of manly resolve in his answer. Girls were the one area where Osuki's skills and expertise were triple those of Sojiro. Now I see.
なんだよ、要はナンパかよ。むしろ仲良くなりたいってわけ？
That's just the art of flirting, man. Wanna get along with her, right? Sojiro wasn't sure how to respond. He nodded slowly without really understanding the implication of what Konomi had said.
けどどうすればいいのかわからない。そもそもどうやって同い年の女の子と仲良く話ができるんだ？
But I don't know what to do. How can I get along with girls my age?
クラスの女どもとは話してんじゃん。あれでいいんだっつの。俺は羨ましいっつの。
You talk to girls all the time. In our class all the time. Honestly, you make all the other guys look bad. You're natural at it.
持ち前の天然系で押してけばいいべ。
Just keep being your usual clueless self. I'm sure you'll be fine.
山育ちってのは希少なアイデンティティだと思うぜ。珍しいものは生かさないとさ。
Being raised in the mountains makes you Mr. Mysterious. You gotta use that unique identity to your advantage. I don't think that works in this scenario.
珍しいというのはあんまりいいことじゃない気がする。
Really? I don't like being unusual in such. I don't think being unusual is such a good thing, though.
だいたいそもそも嫌われている場合はどうすればいいんだ？クラスのみんなは親切だけど相手はハリセンボンだ。いや、
Like,
この際ハリネズミでもいい。
like, how do you talk to someone who hates your guts? People in the class are nice, but I'm dealing with thorny beasts here. Or maybe a hedgehog is a better metaphor.
そういう場合はめげなきゃいいんだよ。相手が折れるのを待つって寸法だな。トゲだけに。
Don't chicken out, man. You know what they say: a tiny thorn can stop a lion. She'll come around. The George's brow sunk deeper still.
この例え話はダメだ。
Oh, these abstract metaphors are too much for me. He needed more concrete material to work with.
バッカ。女なんてのは機嫌を取ってればいいんだよ。
Come on, dude. You just gotta put in the work to get on the girl's good side.
まずは女の趣味とか大事にしてるもんとか聞いてそこをフォローすればいい。自分の都合より相手の都合だ。まずは外堀から攻めろってことだな。
First, ask about her hobbies and stuff she likes. Then go from there. Think about what she wants, not what you want. You gotta blitz them from where they're weak, as they say.
外堀、外回りか。
You mean, don't be too direct.
もち。
You
その
got
後
it.
はまあ結局はこれが一番効果的なんだけどな。袖の下ってやつ。
You
プレ
got
ゼ
it.
ントで釣れ。
And then comes the most important part: bribery. You gotta shower her presents. Dude, this is a love bomb technique. This is a problematic kid
その
in the
時の需
making.
要と供給さえ合えば嫌われてても受け取ってもらえる。受け取らせちまえばあとはそれが義理になるってもんだ。
I'm gonna need you not to go to any island nations, brother. If your supply matches the demand, she'll accept your gift, even if she doesn't like you. Then you got her. She's like she owe you one. Oh my god, what heinous advice. You know me, then proclaim with an odd sense of pride that this approach has resulted in only failure for him.
けど問題がある木の実。
There's just one problem, you know.
確かにご飯とかそういうのをおごってもらうと嬉しい。
I get that girls like being taken out to dinner, but
そんな金はないってんだろ。
you can't
分
afford
か
it.
ってる分かってる。
Nah, nah.
仕方ないね。そういうしずきくんのために一丁割のいいバイトを紹介してやろうじゃねえのよ。
Got you covered. Unless you know a little sweet secret. An easy way to get you some cold hard dough. They slid from the side of the classroom deeper to one corner. To in front of the lockers, where no one ever stayed for so long. It'd be days before Sergio realized the suggestion he was receiving was of the illegitimate kind, the kind he shouldn't have shared with anyone. Okay, so far we learned whatever's going to happen is Konomi's fault. Okay. That night, dinner at the mansion was a feast of bread. Soft slices lay stacked in the center of the table, surrounded by various colored jams. In a bowl was salad, mainly lettuce, with a small plate of unevenly cut ham. Sojiro may have had no frame of reference for what an average family dinner should be, but he could tell that this was most certainly not normal. In truth, it was a first-rate case of laziness.
チョコのペースト切れたままじゃん。
I mean, this is dinner?
アリス、新しいの買っておいてって言わなかった？
We're out chocolate spread. I'll tell you to buy some more, Alice.
今日は一日部屋にこもっていたから。
I've been locked away in my room all day.
第一、チョコレートを食べるのはあなただけよ。
And
自
more
分のものは自
importantly,
分で調達をするべきね。
you're the only one. And more importantly, you're the only one that eats that stuff, so you should buy it. For these two girls, however, this dinner seemed to be completely normal. Girl dinner. They had a system of irregularity, taking turns being in charge of meals, and tonight was Alice's turn. Normally, she would spend as little time and effort as possible, only truly applying herself when there was something to celebrate. Of course, Sojiro was none the wiser to Alice's unique approach to food preparation. For him, it was a plain, lackluster meal. Again, girl dinner. I wouldn't even classify this as a meal. I'll say this is nourished, a holdover. And when it came to dinner, not saying anything to each other was another staple of their meals. The sounds of cutlery, the scraping of chairs, and the tick-tock of the clock were the only things to be heard in the sunroom. Sojiro himself had already eaten. At this moment, he was watching the goings-on from the drawing room.
宗十郎、9時からアルバイトでしょ？行ってらっしゃい。私たちのことは気にしないでいいから。
The part-time job work starts at 9, right? Sojiro? See you later then. Don't mind us.
ああ、じゃあ行ってくる。
Okay. I'll get going. Sojiro donned his coat with a goodbye nod. Sojiro glanced again at the sunroom. He momentarily locked eyes with Alice, or so he imagined. She had ignored him all day, and not just refusing to talk to him. She was avoided him so much so as to not look at him all day until this very moment. He could not understand if he was annoying her as the outsider in the mansion, but felt no animosity in her gaze just now.
今の様子を見てたのかな?
Maybe she was just glancing the general direction of the drawing room. I realize I think every Sojiro chapter is some bullshit that he never tells anyone. And then like there's an aftermath of, I think. Until it switches to one of the Aoko. Sojiro looked nervously at his surroundings for a moment before heading to the foyer. Alice only let her gaze return to normal when she was clearly sure she was gone.
ああ、めんどくさ。
So much drama. Aoko was appalled by Alice's brazen display. So much so, her immaculate veneer of apathy crumbled.
何？献立に不満でもあるの？青子。
What's that, Aoko? So upset over her lack of chocolate.
もちろんあるけど、いつものことだし慣れてるわよ。
I would be, but I'm so over expecting others to pull their weight.
私が呆れてるのは、あんたの意地の悪さの方。
No, what I can't stand is your attitude.
徹底的に無視してるくせに、相手の反応を伺ってるなんてめめしくない？
It's pretty sissy of
罠
you
張
to
って
pretend
待ち受けるようなもんじゃない。
to ignore him while watching his every move. You can be any more obvious with such a cheap trap?
彼の反応なんて探ってないわ。そもそも興味がないもの。それと、今のは差別発言ね。めめしいという表現は女性軽視に過ぎるわ。
I was not watching his every move. I could care less what he does. And mind you, how to use the word sissy. It reeks of sessism.
今の場合なら、あなたは矛盾していると言ってちょうだい。
Next time, just say you're a hypocrite, okay?
うわ、自覚ありときた。
Well, look who finally found a soapbox. Choosing not to rise to her roommate's jibe, Alice resumed eating. Alco tore off pieces of bread and ate them one by one, anger still visible in her face.
じゃあここからは青崎青子としてじゃなく共犯者としての質問ね。
We're aware of issues you and me have for a minute. It takes some advice from someone who knows a thing or two about messing with that boy.
アリス的に彼を見逃していいと思える判断材料はない？
Maybe we need to cut him some slack.
ありえないけど、実は彼も魔術師でしたなんてオチであったとしても、ここに住まわせるのは容認できない？
Hypothetically, let's say he turns out to be a mage too. And would you be okay with him living here?
その理由なら認めるわ。彼を許すのではなく、そんなことに気づかなかった私たちへのペナルティとして。
Sure, but not for his benefit. I couldn't think of more fitting punishment for you and I for not recognizing his ability sooner. So not a mage, unless he has some
そう
MacGuffin.
ね。今のは絶対にありえない話だけど、それと同じに絶対の結論もまたないわ。
So yes, hypothetically speaking, I would, but we can burn that bridge when we come
彼
to
が
it.
ここに住む選択を飲む場合すらあるかもしれない。
But until
気の
then,
迷いは私にだってあるのだし。
I should accept his presence here. Perhaps not. I reserve the right to have whims of my own.
ええ、そういうことよ。
Then we're agreed.
今は私との義理とかプライドで冷静を保ってるあんただけど、あいつの努力次第で少しは。
Your silly distance out of duty to me or personal pride. But if he shows signs of improving, then maybe.
それは諦めて。彼が何をしようと無駄だから。
Dream on. Dream on. Dream on. Dream on. Doesn't matter what he does. He'll never change.
あなたも知っていると思うけど。
As you very well know. Alice had never been the type to let her guard down around others. The young witch despised humans, having recreated so many of their objects in fairy tales.
そんなのあんた個人のトラウマでしょ？自分の意固地さを魔女の血統云々で棚上げするのはそれこそめめしいわ。
You can't use being a witch as an excuse for every personal issue you had. Yeah, an example of you being a sissy, if you ask me.
いいじゃない。嫌いなら嫌いではっきりしてれば。
It's fine if you dislike him, just act like it.
私が気に食わないのはね、あんたのどっちつかずの態度よ、ア
I'm
リス。
trying to have it both ways.
どっちつかずの態度。
What's that supposed to mean?
そう。無視するなら徹底して無視してやれって言ってるの。
If you want to ignore him, then ignore him for
ガ
real.
チガチに守りを固めて、そのくせ城門だけ開けて、獲物が油断して入ってきたら串刺しにする気満々とか、相棒として見てられないわ。
You're fortifying the castle walls while leaving the gate wide open, waiting for him to make a horrible mistake of exactly what you're urging him to do. It's gross to watch.
あいつにできることなんて、閉ざされた門を開けることぐらいだっていうのに、
If you don't want to
そ
come
の機
inside,
会さえなくすの
then
は
shut
ど
the
うなの？
damn door already.
ご
I
め
mean,
ん
that
な
was
さい、青子。
profound.
もう少し簡単に言って。
That was profound of her, though I don't know what splurged us on. I'm sorry. Alco, you
そ
lost.
の例えはちょっと。
Say that again, in plain English. Alice seemed unable to grasp Alco's metaphor. You know, Alco had it up to here with her roommate's lack of self-awareness and was starting to lose her cool.
だから興味ないとか言っておきながら粉かけるなってこと。あんなにチラチラ盗み見たらあいつ変に勘違いしちゃうかもしれないでしょ。
If you really don't care, then quit worrying about him. If he knows you gawking at him, might get the wrong idea.
アリスはああ見えて本当は自分と仲直りしたがっているに違いない。じゃあ早速部屋に押しかけてみようとか。
He's probably thinking, Alice looks like she wanted to patch things up. Maybe I should go stop by her room. Or even worse.
そういうことになるの？
You really think so? Really think so? I don't know what my Alice
なる。
voice is.
少なくとも私だったらいい加
I'll
減
do
イライラ
voices
して
for the main cast.
話
I
があ
don't
るなら
know.
校舎裏まで来いって
It's
決着つけ
entertaining
かね
for
ないレ
me,
ベ
so
ル。
I guess I'll
ほ
do
っ
it.
とく。
Yes, if it were for me, you were doing that too. I'd be dragging you out back and smacking you senseless, bitch.
そうだったのね。気をつけるわ。
Very well. Very well. Very well. I'll be more careful.
別に彼と話をする気はないんだし、
It's not like I want
私
to.
も彼を見ていたというより、彼の手足を見ていたのだし。
It's not like I want to talk to him anyway. For the record, I didn't look at him exactly, only at his arms and legs.
手足ってなんで？
And why the world would you do that?
手足は手足よ。彼個人には思うところはないけど、
Because of what
あの
happened.
夜の出来
because
事
of
は
what
まだ
happened
記
the
憶
other
に新しいから。
Though I doubt he even remembers.
それが少しだけ気になって、つい視線で追っていたのね。
I was just thinking about it and just happened to glance over at his arms and legs.
あの夜って遊園地のこと？なんかしたっけあいつ？
You mean at the amusement park? I don't remember him doing anything special. Al's expression soured. She still felt the sting of her
飛んだ
defeat.
でしょ、彼。
You saw the way he flew through the air, didn't you? He's got like the middle tattoos that make him super
レー
strong.
ルの上から私のダンプティーに向かって。
Off the track, straight at my dumpty.
そん
At
なこと言
my
ってたわ
dump
ね。
truck.
勢いでつい1メートルぐらいだから飛んじゃったとか。
Sure, you were reading about how he flew a whole couple feet. Akko had not actually seen it in person, luckily. All she knew was the spell she had placed on Sergio was part of the reason he survived the jump of death. Alice, on the other hand, had observed the whole scene from the clock tower. It had only lasted an instant, but it had burned itself into her mind's eye, more than when her precious moon had fallen at Alco's hand, and the flat snark had come tumbling down. More than that, isn't that like her big three? That she
で
can't get
も
back?
それがどうしたの？卵の敵討ちってわけ？
So that's it. You want to get back at him for what happened to Dumpty, do you?
ダンプティーは壊れるのが仕事だから、敵討ちも何もないわ。
Dumpty's destruction was...
ただ、
Yeah, Dumpty's...
人間の体ってあんな風に動くんだなって。
Dumpty's destruction was purely business. I feel no need for retaliation. I was just intrigued to observe the movement of a human body. As it goes. For someone with a little human reaction as Alice, Sergio's leap must have appeared quite remarkable. Particularly because his legs were orders of magnitude less capable than those of an animal in the forest. And yet, even with such feeble legs, with those meek arms of his, he managed to fly through the open air like a bird. To her, it was akin to the feeling city folk get when they see a wild creature in its natural habitat. Oh, so the bird vision must be hers?
気にしないで
To。start?
機会があるならもう一度見たいと思っただけ。
Forget I mentioned it. I just hope I can witness that again someday.
別に彼に何を期待しているわけじゃないわ。
And when I say human, I'm not referring to him. Because he's not human, bro. He's a golem or some shit. I don't know what the... Strip that man.
なるほど。アリスのプロイって大体が人型じゃないしね。
I see.
単に物珍しさで見ていただけか。
It was novel for you. It makes sense considering most of our employees have non-human forms. Akko sighed and released the tension from his shoulders. She was disappointed to discover that Alice's behavior stemmed from a simple curiosity, like that of a child with a new toy. And Alice was in no position to take issue with her reaction. And how could she? She was not entirely sure what it was that she herself was feeling. Oh my god, she met a
明日は私が作る
boy!
から。
I'll make dinner tomorrow.
試験前だってのに、こんなしょぼくれたもん食べさせられたら、
Another
一
meal,
夜漬けする気合も湧かないわよ。
another meal like this before exams gonna make it impossible to study.
ご自由に。私も手が空いて助かるわ。
No complaints for me. I certainly mind the free time. Night came and went in the mansion. For better or for worse, the disturbances caused by the foreign invader had not yet caused the kettle to boil over. The next morning, at 6:30, as sunlight spread across the sky, Theodore walked to school with Alco in the chilly morning air.
いい？洋館にいるときは極力一人にならないこと。
So try not ever to be alone in the house, okay? It was her intention to keep Theodore safe until he left the mansion. Nonetheless,
眠い。6時から登校とか。あんたも働き者ね。
God, I'm sleepy. What's the deal with going to school so early?
そうでもないよ。30分仕出しを手伝うだけだし。
I'm not. I have to put a 30-minute shift. I pull a 30-minute shift helping with deliveries. 30-minute shift? What the fuck is that? His work ethic was a little too strong for a student entering finals.
それより青崎、無理してないか？別にこっちに付き合うことないんだぞ。
Are you sure you're not pushing yourself too hard, Aozaki? You don't need to keep tabs on me, you know.
ご心配なく。生徒会室で仮眠取るから。約束だし、門までは一緒に行くわよ。
Oh, don't you worry. I'll catch up on sleep in the student council's room when we're done. I promised I'd walk you as far as the front gate, and I plan to stick to it. But internally, Alka was worried. What traps did her roommates have in store for him? She could not imagine Alice had planned anything to go down in the woods, but she wanted to be safer than sorry. And the least she could do was accompany Sergio to school. That much she was firmly committed to. Any traps that presented themselves could then be dealt with on the spot. Well, not dealt with so much as destroyed, is Alco's forte. But that would be enough to keep him safe for the time being.
帰り道に関しては、アリスもそこまで暇ではないと信じるしかないんだけど。
So when you get out of school, all we can hope is that Alice is showing up free time today. Okay. He has no perception of what she's doing. If Alice is willing to put all her energy into a new trap after the very first had failed, then they were as good as dead anyway. Malco would cross the road when she came to it. It all depended on how deep Alice's dislike of Sergio really went. It would have to be enough to make her abandon her pride as a witch, something she had protected perfectly until now. If that were the case, Alco knew she would never be able to keep him safe. The moment 24/7 protection became necessary was the moment she had failed. Her character led her to focus on what she could do in the here and now, ignore the rest. And this current plan of hers was the best attempt at doing right by everyone. They left behind the Kwanji estate, and the two remained together into the residential area at the bottom of the hill, where Alco glanced casually at
ところ
Sojiro.
で、何か考えてる？
So any thoughts? Surprisingly, Sojiro saw through her harmless question and sensed the bigger issue. How was he going to win Alice over? In fact, he had been thinking about that very question. According to his friend, there were three basic approaches he could take. One was the roundabout approach.
こいつは時間がかかるが最も自然だ。
This way takes the longest, but it's the most natural.
人間ってのは自分が好きなものを大切にされるとコロッと気を許しちまう。仲間意識ってやつだな。
Love it when you pay attention to the things they like, just as friends do. In other words, just instead of focusing on the person one wishes to win over, one should focus on their interest. It was a surprisingly mature opinion coming from Kinomi. Unfortunately, Sojiro had no idea what sort of things Alex liked. She had seemed very fond of the mansion, but what could he do? Clean it for her? He sensed that it would have a reverse effect. In a distinct feeling she would not want him touching what was precious to her. The second approach was to take the inner track.
でもやっぱり本人を落とすのが一番早い。俺たちに魅力がないのなら、魅力のある外付け装備に頼るのだ。
It's the fastest way for someone to fall for you. If you can't coast on your natural good looks and charm, that's what your wallet is for.
そう。プレゼントなんだよ、しずきくん。
You know what I'm talking about. Gifts. A quick and dirty strategy, the assassin's strike. manipulate someone's feelings with an expensive gift. To Sojiro, that sounded like his best chance. The approach was easy for him to grasp, and he appreciated its simplicity. However, he had the same concerns as with his first approach. A step was missing, and without his step, the plan was bound to
あ
fail.
とはまあ剣ってやつ俺にはよくわかんないけどさやりすぎると悪い印象を持たれるとか殿下が言ってたな
I don't fully understand it myself, but they say if you try too hard. Oh wait, the only option is the well. I guess you call it wait and see. I don't fully understand it myself, but they say if you try too hard, your plans are bound to backfire.
私今落とされてるって意識させちゃダメなんだとよ付き合った後であれ私落とされたと気づかせるのが上等なんだとか
Like you don't ever want the girl to have such a, epiphany of, oh, now I love it. It's better that it dawns on her after you hung out together for a while. Like, wait, I think I like it. Though Sojiro did not quite grasp the details, he understood the basic idea. Don't press your luck. He knew that much was good advice. He would have to try extremely hard to get out on Alice's good side. He could tell it would be a long process to get there. Sojiro recalled the time he had wandered inside a fox's territory in the mountains. He had left some food on the ground for the fox, and then it never bothered him again. What is considered good will and kindness varies from person to person. But if there's enough goodwill from one side, regardless of whether the good will be reciprocated, the other side would eventually start to feel an obligation to do so. That was key.
大丈夫考えてるよとりあえず自分にできることとかしたいことをしようと思う
Okay. I think I'll think of something, but now I can only do what I can do.
安心してくれ青崎に忠告されたことすらきちんと守る方針だ
Don't worry. I'll take your counsel at heart, Aozaki. Sojiro seemed ready to face things head on. His answer did little to reassure Aoko, however. She found herself more concerned about his safety than ever before.
学校にあるようなほうきが欲しい
You're looking for a broom like the one at school? Who the fuck? Oh.
そうなんだできれば安く買えるところ
Yeah, the cheaper the better.
しずきの家アパートよねほうきなんてもの必要とは思えないけど
Don't you live in an apartment? Who needs a broom in an apartment?
いやちょっと気になるところがあって掃除がしたいんだゴミ袋もあると助かる
You know, I've been wanting to clean things up a little. I could use some trash bags too.
無駄な出費はできないって言ってたくせに
Aren't you supposed to be broke or something?
まあどうでもいいけどうちのでよければ使う貸してあげましょうか
Whatever. Want to use my broom then? I'll lend to you if you want.
多分一日じゃ終わらないから自分で買うよ
Actually, I need it for longer than one day, so maybe it's best I buy
元
my
から
own.
欲しかったものだしあると便利だよほうき
I mean, I always wanted my own broom. Brooms are nice to have around, you know? Jotaro was on his way from his part-time job after school. It was 4 in the afternoon, 2 hours earlier than his part-time job would have normally ended. The Mad Bear's head chef had gotten in trouble with the accountant for making a student work the days before an exam. The Sojiro boss had carefully sent him on early. And that is when it happened. The interruption to his standard schedule must have been just the shock he needed. Normally, he would have met up with Aoko after she was done with student council affairs and go home with her. However, today, Sojiro was asking the other students who worked at the same place if they knew any shops in the area where he could buy a broom.
田舎者の趣味って理解不能ね推強すぎ
God, what's wrong with you? People from the countryside are like so weird.
うちの近くにまっついラーメン屋あるでしょあそこの通りを終わりまで行けば起きたって金物店がある
Anyway, you know that nasty ramen place near school? Just go to the end of the street and there's a hardware store called Okita.
一式揃えるなら西口のホームセンターより安く上がるわ
It's way cheaper than the home supply store to the west of the station. As long as they have what you want anyway.
どうでもいいけど、私のチャリ使う？どうせ試験明けまで使わないし。
Use my bike if you want. I don't care. I won't need it until the exams are over anyway. Jojo's eyes lit up as if he met his savior. But biking uphill to the mansion, let alone with a package to carry, was not a pretty thought.
いや、自転車には乗ってみたいけど、今回は遠慮するよ。じゃ
Appreciate the offer.
あ、また明日、学校で。
But I'll pass. See you at school tomorrow. Saying farewell to his coworkers, he headed to the hardware store. He needed a cheap and sturdy bamboo broom, and a large dustpan to go with it. If possible, a push cart and a stick for splint would have been nice too. As it happened, Shojuro wanted quite a few things. Yeah, what is this filler episode chapter? What is happening? Alice returned to her work after waking from her nap. The Kwanji State had an annex that housed a library. Yeah, the library in the fucking annex. So what the hell? The library is... Actually, this is my dream house. Maybe. This might actually be my dream house. The library was filled with books handed down from her mother. So it was Alice's territory. Just that even Alco dared not enter. And he's gonna walk in here. If the mansion was a witch's abode left by the times, the library was a fairy tale quarters lost to the ages. One analogy that I don't quite grasp, but go off. It was a natural sanctuary for the young witch who could command employees to do her bidding. She relied on her memory to recall the location of each book on the many shelves. And then she saw it. Upon raising her head, she was met with the most unusual of sights. Her elegant eyebrows bristled in distaste. From the moment on, she failed to accomplish anything she had planned for today. She was instead forced to stare at the strange sight outside her window, eyebrows fixed in that position until the sun set. What the fuck could it be? Stars? Reminds you of the snark? Ah, well. What? Moving into the grand mansion on the hill had not brought any major changes to Sartro's day-to-day schedule. He woke up, he went to his part-time job, ate breakfast, and went to school. Classes came and went, still strange and new, broken up by rare and brief moments of rest, until the school day ended. He left school, went to his part-time job, slept, woke up, and studied for exams. A modest life for a modest young man, continuing every day in the same fashion despite his best efforts to change his fortune. But nothing ever really changes. Whether Alco was by his side in the mansion, as was frequently the case, or whether Alice was making him a drink, some potion she prepared before going to bed, or if some civil rights is taken away again, and a meaningless protest happens, nothing ever fucking changes. The former was an attempt by Alco to make him feel better. The latter was some attempt to keep him safe, even if he did not fully appreciate it. Then, one day, a day like any other, while Sojo was pouring himself some tea as she worried over the lack of change in his life. Whoa. By the way, his relationship with Alice was the same as ever, but there was one major change this morning. He was drinking black tea instead of green. Though there were all sorts of different types of tea to be found in the kitchen, a newcomer to the world of tea like Sojiro cannot tell one of them from the next. Naturally, his tea-making skills were limited to tea bags, one of which he placed in a cup before returning to the dining table. Alice and Alco were already seated. The two were eating in silence. In this household, it was everyone for themselves when it came to breakfast. The diplomatic description of their breakfast would be simple. The more accurate description would be 2 slices of stale bread prepared in seconds. Alka exchanged a word or two with Alice, took a sip of tea, and stood up from her seat. Since it was winter break for the high schooler, Alice, she returned to her room after eating as she normally did while Alko headed to the front door, shoes in hand, ready for school. After hurriedly clearing the table, Sergio rushed out the door after Alko. Together they walked down the hill in the direction of school. What, she only drinks black and so she's upset? They spent 3 days following this very simple routine.
ところで、あれから動きはあった？
So, anywhere from you-know-who? School had ended and evening had arrived. The buttered bread roll in one hand, Alice replied with a simple, silent shake of her head.
そう。ならあっちも次の手を考えているんでしょうね。魔術師本体の居場所は見当ついてる？
Thought so. The enemy must be considering the next move too. Have you figured out where the mages is? Where the mage is? Her response was exactly the same. Without showing the slightest sign of dejection, she continued to chew the roll and took a stab at her salad.
そう。私も試験が終わったら手伝うから、それまで悪いけど一人でやってて。今日からあのバカを一夜漬けにしなくちゃいけないんで、余裕ないの。
Okay, then. I'll help you once exams are over. If you can manage on your own till then, I have to help that idiot study, so my schedule is pretty warped. I don't think I've ever heard Southern Purpose say warped. Now that I think about it. Alice's face grew dour, as if she had something to get off her chest.
問題ないでしょ？アリスはもう休みに入ってるんだから、一日全部使えるじゃない。
Don't give me that look. You're on winter break. You can spend all day working on it, can't you? Alice was indeed on vacation and could spend all day, every day, on her work as a mage. Yet she had spent the past few days holed up in the library instead. She was hardly devoting herself to dealing with the challenger, as Alko put it.
アリス？聞いてる？
Alice? Are you listening?
わかってる。今夜からそっちもやるから。
Yes. I'll get to work on it tonight. Sighing, she stood up. What was bothering Alice, and what was it she wanted to say? What had she been doing only 2 hours earlier? The young witch took her leave from the breakfast table without offering a single clue. Like prime setup. Near filler. Misaki High was a private school. As such, its winter break started earlier than public schools. The end of term ceremony was in mid-December, followed by a brief respite before the next term began. Of course, that was if and only if they ever overcame the classic obstacle lying between them and the extended break from school. Final exams. The radio continued its broadcast late into the night. A thermos of hot tea eliminated the need to venture down to the kitchen. Ooh, I should get another thermos. I don't have room for a thermos. I need to get rid of so much junk in my room just looking around. Wait, there was... These must be... Wait, yeah, I have a bunch of dress shirts I need to try on to see if we get out. Let's check them or not. An electric blanket kept away the winter cold, and a crab-shaped pastry staved off the dinner time hunger. That sounds so cozy. I think my computer now is so hot that it kind of eliminates the need for, how do I say it? For, a blanket or anything like that, but it's still nice to get cozied up like that. I've always liked winter. I like precipitation of any kind too. Even though this might be the last winter my car can run. These were the lengths Aoko had gone to. She needed to ensure that every aspect of her surroundings helped pull a successful all-nighter. Why am I getting added? Who's pinging me? Who dares ping me? Okay.
期末試験1日目、ご苦労様。
Congrats on surviving the first day exam.
それで、生まれ変わる覚悟できた？
Are you ready to leave your old study habits behind and be reborn as a new student? Sojiro nodded earnestly. Upon returning from work, he encountered not the mage he expected, but the Demon Student Council President, Awazaki. Half a day earlier, the first day of exams were over. Sojiro was about to head back to the mansion where he hoped to put his plan into practice when...
今夜、私の部屋で監禁ね。
Tonight, I'm holding you prisoner.
夕方からのアルバイトは当然キャンセル。ちょっと本気であの点数はありえないから。
Your grades are simply unacceptable. Cancel your shit and any other plans you have, too. A cold blue grin greeted him in the hallway, clenched in her fist was Sojiro's exam paper. Mr. Yamashiro had no doubt said,
転校してきたばかりだし、しょうがないよね。
he only just transferred. Well, you can't really expect miracles. But she snatched the exam out of the teacher's hand the minute he tried to show her. That was how Sojiro had ended up in Aoko's room instead of the room in the attic to which he was accustomed. She has an acoustic and a bass, amp, coffee table, 4 kinds of mismatched slippers, a envious desk. I would kill for that desk. A okay looking chair. This is nice. Her situation was far from normal. At the end of the day, she was an adolescent girl like any other. Actually, she felt uncomfortable letting a boy her own age into her room. However, his grades were truly something that called for desperate measures. That explained why her mood was even worse than normal today, and the vein of her forehead was pushing visibly with anger.
先に自分の復習済ませる。
I need to finish my own studies first.
あんたはそのテーブル使ってて。
You can use the table in the meantime. Aoko turned her back to him and sat down at her favorite desk. Shit, that might be my favorite desk too. Sojiro was left standing before a cheap-looking glass table.
なんかいろいろと慣れないな。
Still really early. I'm still not really used to any of this.
なあ青崎、この青いのなんだ？
What's that blue thing over there, Aozaki? Restless, Sojiro finds his eyes drawn to the guitar, propped up in the corner.
なんか薄いし青いしとんがってるし。
Oh, it's too many strings. Yeah, that's an electric. It's
Aozaki
too
の
many
ことだし。
strings for a normal bass. Not even a 5. Wait, 1, 2. Yeah, there's like 6 strings. Yeah, that's a regular guitar. It's not a bass. The thin blue and intense looking. It's got your name written all over it.
もしかしなくても武器か。
I mean, it's an axe, baby. It can be. Don't tell me it's some kind of weapon.
楽器よそれ。エレキはともかく、アコギは音楽室で似たようなのあったでしょ。あとこれ以上青々言ったら、そのとんがってるので殴るからね。
It's a musical instrument. I understand if you've never seen the electric one, but you must have seen the acoustic guitar in the music room. Keep talking now, and you'll see if it works also as a weapon. Herschel plopped himself down on the cushion, struggling to suppress the desire to retort that it was a weapon after all.
ちょっとは落ち着きなさいよ。いつもは耳の遠い大型犬みたいに鈍感なくせに。
Don't play
何か気
victim.
になるものでもあるの？
Usually you're as oblivious as an old and deaf dog. What's got you so worked up this time? The fact it was Aoko who was oblivious for once. In fact, it was Aoko that was oblivious for once. For his part, Sojiro could not figure out why he felt so restless either. Suffice it to say, they both pretty clueless in this moment.
もしかして内装？
Boy?
この部屋の家具のグレードが今とは違うから不思議がってるのね。
Is it the way I decorated my room? My furniture is totally different to the stuff in the drawing room, so I understand if it seems a little weird.
ここベッド以外は私の家から持ち込んだものなの。引っ越してから2年経つけど、まだ屋敷には馴染んでないでしょ。
I brought everything from my home except the bed. 2 years since I moved here, but still don't feel like me and my stuff belong in this big old house. Though she misunderstood the real reason for Sojiro's nervousness, Ako seemed satisfied that she had resolved Sojiro's anxiety for the time being and returned to her studies. She flipped through her notes and textbooks as if fast-forwarding a tape. There was no opening for an outsider like him to intrude in her high-speed study session. Repelled by her intensity, he retreated to his table. He was at least sensitive enough to pick up on her desire to be left alone. It was a testament to Sojiro, and having his needs utterly ignored was now second nature to him, to the extent that he could now happily go about his business in solitude. Sorry. Doing some shoulder stretches for my thoracic outlet syndrome. I have to keep saying that. You keep on to say, what? Actually, I don't remember anymore. That's good. Gotta overrid it. 2 hours have passed. At the clock neared 11, Ako's speed and concentration. How long have we been going? Speed and concentration began to slip. Seeing his window of opportunity, Sojiro seized the moment to strike up a conversation.
青崎、ちょっといいかな。
Saki, can I talk to you for a minute?
何？
What is it? She spoke hesitantly, not bothering to turn to face him. She continued to flip the pages of her textbook, albeit at a slower speed than before.
この3日間、青崎たちの夕食事情を見てきたけど、
I noticed how you and Alice have been acting at dinner these past 3 days, and
君たちの食事はいつもああなのか？
is it always like that?
そうだけど、おかしい？
Yes, it's normal. Do we not look normal?
そう言われると困るな。
I'm not sure how to answer that. I'm not sure how to answer that.
ただ学校じゃみんな楽しそうだった。誰かと食事をとるってことはああいう風になることだって思ってた。だからもしかすると。
It's just at school people seem to enjoy eating together, so I thought it was strange that you two don't look like you enjoy it. I thought maybe because of, you know.
もしかしないわよ。別にあんたのせいでアリスと話さないわけじゃないわ。私たちはいつもああだから。
Don't worry, it's not because of you that we haven't been talking at meal times. We never talk to each other during meals. Oh wait, Alko's talking. I don't know, whatever. Alko spoke calmly with her back still turned, seemingly unaware of what she was getting at.
張り詰めた食卓だな。
Well, it can get pretty tense.
青崎とアリスは仲がいいと思ってたのに。
And here I thought you two were close friends. She neither confirmed nor denied his statement. She was, however, surprised by the disappointed tone in which he had made.
ま、張り詰めた食卓っていうのは合ってるわね。
You're not wrong. It can get tense.
アリスが何回あんたの飲み物にメスカリンを入れてたかなんてもう覚えてないし、昨日なんか堂々とサラダの中に7かまどなんか混ざってるし。
I can't remember how many times she's been put mescaline in your drink, and yesterday she was adding Rowan to your salad. I'm too poor to know what she's talking about.
あの子何考えてるんだろう。
Means me what the hell she was thinking. A bit of smile spread across her face in reminiscence. The pages of her textbook continued to turn.
メスカリン？
Mescaline? Mescaline. What's that?
サボテンから取れるアルカロイドよ。アリスが使う以上、ただの幻覚剤じゃないでしょうけどね。と、私はこんなもんでいっか。
It's a hallucinogenic alkaloid produced by the peyote cactus. I assume it's more than just your average hallucinogen if Alice is using it. No. And I'm done. With that, she slammed shut her fourth textbook of the night. After having scarcely changed position the whole night, she finally turned to her chair to face him.
さあ、今度はあんたを仕込まなくちゃね。
Now it's time to put you to work.
今日の4科目の答案、実に宗十郎らしい出来栄えでそっとしそうになったわ。
I don't know what I was expecting, but I was almost fainted when I saw your scores. Her tone was light, but her gaze was heavy as she stared at Soju. Seated across lake.
原告、地理、数学、電子工学。
Modern literature, geography, math, and electronics. Electronics?
あの調子であと2日続けたら冬休みが消えるのは当然でしょうね。そうなると 困るのは私なのよ、実際。
If you don't pull your grades up over the next 2 days, your winter break is as good as count. It will be more of a problem for me than you.
いや俺も困るぞ。休みなのに学校に行くのはなんか気が乗らない。
Disagree. I think it would be worse. Going to school during the break would not work out. Jojo calmly corrected her.
そりゃ私のセリフだ。あんたが学校に行くってことは必然こっちまでとばっちりが来るっての。
If you have to go to school over the break, what do you think is going to happen to me? All she could think about, as much as she tried not to, was Mr. Yamashiro and his annoying.
それ以前に私の目が黒いうちはオール赤なんてやつは許さない。
I cannot allow any student to fail every single class, not on my watch. So only some of the classes.
本来なら少年から叩き直すところだけど、
If I could beat good grades out of you, I would.
あんたはいろいろ事情があるからとりあえず点数だけで勘弁してあげる。
Lucky for you, you have the extenuating circumstances, shall we say. So I'll give you a pass just this once.
私もテストは一夜漬けで片付ける方だから、あんた一人仕込むのにそう時間はかからないだろうし。
A good all-nighter is usually enough for me to prepare his hand. So it shouldn't take you too long to get up to speed either. I can't do all-nighters anymore. I used all of them in undergrad. I can't use that shit anymore. Such an expression openly soured in response to her declaration. It was obvious he did not think he needed her meddling in his studies.
あんたね、苦労するのは私とあなたどっちだと思う？
Oh, please. Which of us do you think is going to have the harder time of it, me or you? Sotaro got the feeling it would be him, but he nodded slowly nonetheless. Then again, it would probably take more of an effort on her part than on his, and in any case, he knew there was no way to talk her out of it.
この度はご迷惑をおかけします。
I feel bad for making you do this. Sotaro summarily bowed his head to show gratitude and willingness to work.
よろしい。
Good.
安心なさい。私だって鬼じゃないから。
And don't worry, I'm not a demon like they say. Demon.
別に平均点狙うってわけでもなし。予定通りこなしていけば3時には眠れるわよ。
You can get less than average marks and still pass. You'll probably be able to go to bed by 3. She nodded with satisfaction, pleased by his studious attitude. He had plenty of obstacles ahead of him, but the sense of humility might be enough to see him through.
って何仏心出してるんだ私。
Wait, what was I thinking? I can't afford to be soft on you.
いいしずきくん。この後頼られちゃたまんないから釘刺しておくけど、私がマンツーマンで誰かを仕込むなんてことめったにないから。
Let me be straight about this. Temporary arrangement? It's not every day I offer private one-on-one lessons like this.
これはあくまで異例中の異例だって覚えておいてね。
It's beyond rare. An exception among exceptions. And don't you go forgetting about that. She spoke more to convince herself, but his expression still darkened. It made one want to hang a sign around his neck. A sign around his neck? Sign around his neck that read, "Please take me home." Like an abandoned pet, Alko chided herself for being so soft. For some reason, in the moment, she recalled what it had been raining the day that they met each other. We are not flashbacking at the halfway point. Please. Time passed like the falling grains of an hourglass.
結局
Finished. Akko squinted as the light poured through the window and she downed another cup of tea. She lost count of exactly how many she drank long ago.
一晩かかったね、大崎。 It only took the whole night, eh, Aozaki? Churchill picked up on what she left unspoken. Akko had used up all her pep and staying up all night. But also in shouting at him. He looked pale and uncomfortable, but at all, just as he
had all night. I'm having a stroke.
甘く見てたわ、あんたのことを。
I underestimated you, Sojiro Suzuki.
だから褒めても何も出ないって。
Come on, Aozaki. You know I get weirded out when you compliment me.
ある意味褒めるに値するかもね。
No. You deserve a pat on the head. She's at the end of her rope, but she could not help the bit of her pride that swelled up in her. His lack of even the most basic comprehension was shocking, even taking into account his upbringing in the wilderness. His ability was that of a middle school student, and that was being generous. Preparing him for exams by teaching him new concepts and ideas was a waste of time. Rote memorization was his only hope for passing. Everything he memorized could collapse like a house of cards afterwards for all she cared, so long as he remembered for his exam. The American method. Assuming he had the capacity to be a good student in the first place, had been her mistake. It took all night to cover the content for just 4 exams. She still did not feel confident he could apply what he so earnestly tried to memorize.
でもね、真面目なのはいいことだけど、あんた暗記するのに時間かかりすぎ。
I appreciate your efforts, but you just take too long to memorize new information. Oops.
そこは多めに見てほしい。
Come on now.
今まで頭より体で覚えることのが多かったんだ。
I'm used to learning things with my body, not my head. Akko let out an exasperated sigh. Naturally, physical prowess mattered more in the mountain life than the intellectual kind, but still.
まあいいわ。これで山城からあんたの成績について相談されることもないでしょうし。
Whatever. At least now you should do well enough to satisfy Yamashiro.
紅茶、もう一杯入れてくれる？
I make a small tea. The girl stood up and obeyed as Aki stretched her aching body. She had apparently bought the tea bags in bulk, so there was still plenty to use.
まったく無駄遣いだな、青崎は。
Good grief. This is so wasteful. He spoke under his breath so she wouldn't hear. Being somehow happy to see her so tired and unfocused after a grueling all-night lesson she had given him. It did not cross his mind that the extra tea bags, far from being an indulgent purchase, were purchased intentionally to sustain them through the night. A relaxed expression came across Alko's face as she watched him, naive and peaceful as she
悪
could
くない
be.
けど、せめてリーフティーで入れられるように仕込まなくちゃダメかな。
Not bad. To teach him how to make it from tea leaves instead. Seeming to have overheard her not so inner monologue, Sergio made to face her.
やっぱり味は違うのか？
Does it really make a difference?
違う、もう全
Hey,
然。
big time.
正直私はどうでもいいんだけど、アリスはね、かなりお茶にはうるさいよ。
Although, honestly, I don't really care. I was the one who really is picky about her tea.
そうだ、宗十郎、アリスとうまくいってる？
Which reminds me, how are things going between you two? Alko cheerfully slumped over the table, now covered with textbooks and scribbled notes. Sergio watched her with a hint of resentment in his eyes.
彼女と会えるのは食事の時だけで、食事と言ったらあれだろ？どうやって仲良くなれって言うんだ？
We only ever see each other at dinner, and you know how that goes. Honestly, I don't know why I should bother getting along with her.
そう？私は十分脈ありだと思ったけど。
Really? And here's me thinking you had a lot of motivation to play nice.
そっちはアリスを怖がってないし、アリスはそっちを追い出す理由を見つけようと躍起になってるし。
It's not like you're scared of her, for one. Plus, she's looking for any reason to kick you out.
いい条件よ、これって。
Sounds like a great reason to make it nice, if you ask me.
全然わからないな。
Are you sure about
あ
that?
の子とこっちの関係は遊園地前の青崎と俺の関係と同じじゃないか。一体どこがいい条件なんだ？
This feels like, to me, feels like a lot like me and you before everything at the amusement park. How's that a good reason?
とりあえず反目し合ってはいないでしょ。
My point is, there's no hostility between you two, right?
一方通行の関係だけど、それはそれ。アリスにしちゃ上出来っていうか、理由を探している時点で可能性ありってね。
The one-sided relationship, but that's not exactly bad considering this is Alice we're talking about. You have a chance as long as she hasn't found a reason not to offer you.
あの子は反感に応えることが癖になっちゃってるから、大抵相手を自滅させちゃうのよ。
She's usually quick to respond to hostility, and her enemies that usually end up destroying themselves. Her ominous words only confuse her to go further.
知ってしまえば単純な話なんだけどね、あの子の場合。
Once you understand that, it's actually pretty simple.
ただ、
Say, whether or not he could put it into practice was another story altogether.
難しいよ、青崎は。
Sounds like a difficult situation, Aozaki. He carried the tea bags back to the table as he spoke, teacups back to the whatever. Ako picked hers up and took a sip as if to dispel her exhaustion.
でも確かに君の言う通りだ。
But I think you're right.
俺はまだあの子の顔しか知らない。クオンジ・アリスという名前すら定かじゃないのは。
Still don't know her at all. The problem is, my knowledge of Alex Kwanji ends with her name. He followed Alko's lead and took a sip of his own. His cup contained not tea but plain hot water.
あの子のこと教えてほしい？
Well, would you like me to tell you a bit about her? Michael scrutinized him carefully as she said. Most boys would have been captivated by her gaze in the moment.
いや、そういうことは本人に聞いてあげるべきだと思う。
No, I think I should ask her myself. They ignored her and stared straight ahead, as if speaking directly to Alice herself.
そうね。
Fine.
ほんと、あんたってアリス好みの対応をするわ。
You really want to do this her way, don't you?
ねえ、前から気になってたけど、客室でアリスに何を言ったの？いくら私との約束とはいえ、あの子が部外者を半日も放置するなんてありえないのよ。
Speaking of which, what exactly did you say to her in the guest room? I know she and I have an agreement, but I've never known her to just ignore a visit of half a day. He thought back to that moment. He recalled only 2 or 3 words he exchanged with Alice after awakening in the guest room. He did not recall the conversation being anything special, but he could not bring himself to casually share it with Alko now. After all,
ねえ、どんなセリフであの子の気を変えたの？
hey, what did you say to have such an effect on her? Alko eagerly pressed him for answers. Jojo frowned, unsure what to say. Did not know what the interaction had been like for Alice, but for him it felt special, sacred almost. The question was, why and for whom was he so concerned?
ほら、白状しなさいってば。隠し事なんて似合わないわよ。
Come on, tell me. I can tell you just dying to let out. Her disconcerting smile moved even closer. Jojo did not look like he was able to stay silent much longer, as he would eventually come to realize Alko Ozaki has sometimes troubling propensity to gossip.
まあ、あの子と何を話したかは言わないけど、
Well, I can't tell you what we talked
今の
about.
青崎に比べれば花もロマンもなかったのだけは確かかな。
Like I say, she wasn't as flirtatious as the way you are right
さ
now.
っきまでは青崎が鬼みたいだったからいいもんだなって気がつかなかった。
After how strict you were earlier, I didn't realize she had such a friendly side. He stared directly into her eyes as he spoke. Now Cornelia leapt out from her seat in panic. Now that he pointed out, she realized her bodies were practically touching. Their bodies were practically touching.
仕方ないでしょ。この方が効率良かったんだから。
Well, so will you notice, huh? I was just using the most effective way of breaking you, of course.
あんた、横にいないとすぐ間違えるし。
And besides, the moment you leave my side, all hell seems to break loose. Alko stood up as she lashed back at him.
そうだね。なんか昔みたいで久しぶりに集中できた。
You got me there. I haven't felt focused in years. Felt something.
これが異例中の異例っていうのが本当に残念だ。
Too bad this is an exception amongst exceptions.
余裕あるじゃない。その分じゃ今日のテストだけじゃなく、アリスとの話し合いもうまくいきそうね、宗十郎。
Well, look at you, Sojiro. Before you know it, you'll be acing your exams and your relationship with Alice.
あ、それはもちろん。
I will, Aozaki. Don't you worry. His cold response caught her off guard, and for a moment she was at a loss for words. She meant it sarcastically, and yet he responded with a warm smile.
方針変更だ。まずは近くで話しかけてみるよ。嫌なことはいずれ終わるって分かったから。
I'm gonna change my strategy. The first step, engage her directly. You can't stay mad forever, as they say. Akko remained in a state of silent shock as she spoke and rose to his feet. As he rose to his feet, she could not help but feel a reluctant respect for what seemed to be his newfound confidence and competence.
とりあえず今日は一人で帰ってアリスと話してみる。
I'll go home by myself today, speak to
青崎は
Alice.
放課後生徒会だろ。
You have a student council meeting after class, right? He was right. It was their last meeting before winter break. Normally, he would have to wait until the meeting ended, or else gone straight to his part-time job. This is part of Akko's plan to make sure he and Alice were never alone in the mansion
待
together.
ったまさかあんた一人でアリスとやり合うつもりなの
Hold on. You mean the plan to face Alice alone? By
別にや
yourself?
り合うつもりはないぞ。し合っても勝てないだろう、アリスには。
It sounds like we're going to get into a fight. You know I would stand a chance. You know that. Your reply made complete sense, which floored her.
でも、青崎がいたら話が複雑になるのは目に見えてるんだ。そんなわけで、今日はゆっくり飛び丸の相手でもしててくれ。
Even I can see that things only get more messy when you're around, Aozaki. That's why I appreciate it if you take your time with Tobimaru today.
本気
Are you serious? He felt like this was like he was being tested, but not nonchalantly nonetheless. Knowing how great the situation really is, Aoki was not sure how to respond to this apparent lack of concern. The morning light coming through the window marked a stark contrast between the two, which stood bathed in the light, which lurked in the darkness, but went without saying. The silence lasted for only a brief moment. Staring at him gravely, she said,
そうなら止めはしないわ
Fine. Then I won't stop you. That's all she had said. Her dry tone hid the significance of the pregnant silence, not revealing the slightest sign of
なん
discord.
か怒ってないか、青崎。
Are you sure you're not angry, Aozaki?
別にそれで何か考えはあるの下手な考えは通じないわよあの子には
Yeah, I'm sure. Or do you have some kind of plan? You need a good plan of attack with her, you know. Sojiro furrowed his brow in deep thought. He knew it would be hard to get close to her, through talk alone. In fact, it felt nearly
言
impossible.
葉で落ちないやつは
Gifts
物
work
で釣れ
where words fail. Kinomi had been the voice of wisdom and folly for him countless times in the past. Incidentally, Kinomi had been referring to Aoko at the time he shared that pearl of wisdom. But Sojiro had the distinct impression that trying to buy Aozaki's kindness with gifts would not end well. I don't know what kind of stuff
アリス
Alice
の
is
趣味
into.
もわからない。考えてみると、今の自分と彼女はまるで接
You
点が
probably
な
have
い。
almost nothing in common. Sorry, I had ADHD moment. I disassociated for a second. Oh, you're a second though. Wasn't that bad. Sojiro crossed his arms at
いつも
Alice.
のことだけど何も考えてなかったわけね
In other words, you don't have any plan, as usual,
うん。でもまあ、あれこれ考えなくてもいいと思う。
right? But I don't want to overthink it either.
アリスにはあれこれ説明するとか、分かってもらおうとか、そういうんじゃなくて、なんていうか。
It's not like I'm going to explain things to her and then she suddenly understand. I mean, he pondered intently as he tried to put his vague thoughts into something concrete, but he did not spend much time in thought. With a nod, he
要
concluded,
は、俺が彼女を好きかどうかってことじゃないか
what's more important is whether I like her or not, right? He articulated that which is often so hard to say, with surprising clarity and calm. It was certainly a prerequisite for the task he hoped to achieve. He had no hope of making her appreciate him with words, or with acts of giving, with the exception of reciprocation. He simply wished to get to know her better because he liked her. That was his honest, uncontrived intention, and it reflected the purity of his heart. But whether that was in his best interest or not was another story altogether. Calculation and compromise, selflessness and conflict. Purity such as his often irritated people who believed that morals went against human nature, or rather, people who were inevitably forced to believe it. Ako silently walked away without responding to what Sojiro said. Her long hair swung from side to side as she passed him.
Ozaki?
Loving at her strangely cold manner, he called out to her. However, she was already opening the door to leave.
下でシャワー浴びてくるから、あなたは自分の部屋に戻ってて。
Oh, sorry. I was going to take a shower. I was going to take a shower downstairs. You can go back to your room. Her words lacked any expressive inflection. In his confusion, all Sojiro could do was
いい
nod.
けど、やっぱり怒ってないか、青崎。
Okay. Are you sure you're not mad? The photo behind them above her desk kind of, I don't know, it's giving me MGS vibes, but I guess maybe we're just like how photos were in video games at the time. I wonder what the origin of that like style. I mean, it's pretty good actually because you know, despite it being blurry, like not detailed, maybe even airbrushed in post. No, certainly not in post. But like you could see all the all the lines like come out. Like you can see the intent. You can see the nose bridge, the eye, the occipital bone, you know, how messy her hair is. Like it's neat but somewhat messy. Her scarf. She's wearing a jacket. Interesting. I don't know. Sorry. You've been looking at the scene for a while, so it reminded me of that. Emotion returned to her face as she spoke. Yeah, it was not the typical irritated look to which he had grown so accustomed.
そうね。あんた流に言えば、多分私は怒ってる。
I guess it might be something you would call mad.
何に対してのものかは、あんまり言いたくないけど。
I might not discuss the reason why, though. Poor Sojiro did not even realize that he himself was the reason. She looked at him, and for the instant he witnessed an emotion on her face, of which he had never seen the likes of before.
じゃあね。これが最後になるかもしれないから、お別れぐらいは言っておくわ。
See ya. This might be the last time we meet, so I should say
あな
goodbye.
たはアリスを甘く見すぎてる。
You take Alice far too lightly now.
でも、それが同時にあんたの強みなのよね。私たちには毒にしかならないけれど。
That's a strength, but for us, it's pure poison. The door slammed loudly shut behind her. Her steps were audible as she walked away from the other side of the wall. The corridor must have been nearly freezing without any central heating, but Akasagi seemed perfectly comfortable.
なんで私から出ていくんだ。
Wait, why am I leaving first?
順番が逆。普通先に出てくのはそっちじゃない。
Wait, this is all backwards. This is my room. Go first. I could probably kick Sojiro out of her room. Once again, the window closed with a slam. The corridor was not as cold as he expected, Not quite as bad as a freezer, at least. I mean, does Japan have centralized air? Probably not. I mean, they do get snow. Does that matter? I don't think. The second day of exams ended and Sojo was on his way back to the mansion. The road grew steeper and the woods thicker as he made his way up the familiar slope. People in town called it not a hill, but a mountain, simply because it looked over 20 minutes up to climb. This did not sit well for Sojiro, for whom a mountain was something that could not be overcome so easily. The road was paved, for one thing, and the canopy overhead left in plenty of sunlight to guide the way. None of the inclines were especially steep, and no animals lurked in the underbrush. There was no chance of losing his way, no reason to worry about getting lost.
情けない。まだ未練ばっかりだ。
How sad. Still complaining. Joshua quietly reprimanded himself for getting wrapped up in his own little world. In the past few weeks since moving here, he had been constantly comparing the town with his former mountain home. Normally, he would not get so upset over it, but in recent days, since meeting Aoko, as it happened, he had become rather hung up on the differences. The reason for this eluded him, but he knew that Aoko was a force that could not be stopped. This naturally made him want to quicken his own pace. The mansion where they both lived was the apathy and antipathy of her lively personality. I've never seen that word before. It stood out like a sore thumb, even in a town like Mizaki. Some people said it was haunted. There were no ghosts per se, but it was inhabited by musicians, so their claims were closer to the truth than they could possibly know.
そういえば、幽霊と魔法使いっていうのは、どっちが常識外れなんだろう。
Speaking of which, I wonder, between ghosts and magicians, which would be more surprising? Lost in contemplation as he was, the boy failed to notice how his own lack of familiarity with the city life played into the equation. In any case, none of his pondering changed what needed to be done. Tomorrow was the last day of exams. That meant we had a little longer until Aoko stopped taking responsibility for his safety. If possible, today was going to be the day when the mansion's owner accepted his continued residence there. Jojo slipped between the trees encircling the mansion and walked down the naturally tree-lined avenue that led him to the front door. Here goes. Taking a deeper breath, he stepped across the threshold. The drawing room where we suspected to find Alice. However, he found himself face to face with a most unexpected scene. A few steps in, he arrived at the large foyer extending from the mansion's entrance. But one thing was clearly out of place. The foyer mansion was like a hallway in a medieval castle. It was illuminated by the cold winter sun casting down through the skylight, unaided by the artificial light. The wooden tiles smelled of outdoors. And there was Alice, dressed in all black, huddled against a column of it so enormous it resembled a sharply cornered tree trunk. The mansion was quite clearly supporting her frail body, like a mother's lullaby or gentle rocking cradle. The heavy atmosphere within the old building suppressed even the slightest stir, almost as if warding away any disturbance to her slumber. There she slept, in the shadows of home. Hidden away from the outsiders, her sleeping figure was enough to memorize anything. Wait, I have... This is a nice shot. Sojo instinctively looked up at the ceiling, out of sheer awkwardness. He wanted to surprise her, but not in this way. Her slender frame lay asleep by the fireplace. The scene was as beautiful as a painting, yet hard on his heart at the same time. Her slumber seemed breathless. She was too still, with not even a hint of movement, and yet slumped against the frigid column under the cold winter sky. Happiness appeared to be her blanket. A passerby would not be blamed for thinking she was in the most peaceful state of eternal slumber, death. She must be pretty cold. Sergio spoke to himself as he gazed idly upon her. Making her a blanket or something warm did not so much as cross the boy's mind. Instead, odd as it sounds, he first thought to do was to go prepare some tea. He made sure to be as quiet as possible as he opened the drawing room. On the table, waiting for him, were 3 pills. The medicine alcohol required him to take every day when he arrived home. Gulping down the vaguely sweet pills and continuing to the kitchen, he selected a box of tea from among the many in the cabinet brewed enough for 2 people. Oz was still asleep when he turned to foyer. Careful not to make any noise, he crouched close to the ground. He was startled by how cold the floor felt through his pants, though he thought it would be warmer here by the fireplace. But then again, he recalled how Alco had referred to it as a useless hole in the wall. What was likely the case was that neither she nor Alice knew how to use it properly. They did not know how to open up the thing so that smoke can get out. The shutter. After taking the teacups, oh, this is a nice spread. After taking the teacups from the tray and placing one in front of each of them, Shishiro carefully pulled his textbook from his classical literature from his satchel. Like, did he make proper tea? Like, what was that? Cream, sugar? He got the whole kit and caboodle. Or maybe that's not a maybe that's a teapot, not a kettle. Actually, it is a teapot, not a kettle, because there's no way to heat up the yeah. Because a teapot, you're supposed to boil water in a kettle and then put the boiled water in a teapot. And the teapot, depending on the inside, removes impurities in the boiled water, which already is removing impurities, and then do that stuff. But you don't actually boil a teapot traditionally, I believe. I better get to work, or Azaki will get mad at me again. You could still see her angry face from this morning. The reason for her anger was still as much of a mystery as the unusual look he saw briefly come across her face. In any case, one thing was certain. He needed to start studying for tomorrow. Thanks to Aoki's instructions, today's exam went well enough, but tomorrow's would be an even more formidable challenge. After how angry she was this morning, he could not expect her to help him again tonight.
そのくせ点数悪いと怒るし、別に青崎が怒る筋合いじゃないと思う。
Which means I'll do poorly, and then she'll get mad at me again. And then my grades have not like my grades have anything to do with her in the first place. He complained under his breath as he cracked open his textbook. Apparently, he intended to spend his time in this fashion until Alice finally awoke. The sound of pages turning was the only audible noise in the grand hall. There was no ticking of clocks or rustling of leaves to disturb her sleep. After a few hours, Sergio quietly rose to his feet and lit that light-filled foyer was beginning to turn from white to red.
そろそろバイトの時間か。
Time to go to work. He glanced again at Alice as he stretched his stiff back. She slept in perfect stillness, just as she had this entire time. Is she like astral projecting? Like, what was happening? Sergio arched his brow in speculation. He had no idea what was her normal sleeping schedule was like, so he had no idea as to whether he should wake her.
いや、青崎も帰ってくるだろうし、いらぬ世話かな。
Never mind. Azaki might be home soon anyway. She'll be fine. As if reaching the end of a long train of thought. Sojiro gave a quick nod of his head and took his leave of the mansion. Today, work was a shift at the Chinese restaurant in Misaki shopping district, the Mad Bear. The uniforms had been made by someone with an obvious preference for garish colors. The orange apron was emblazoned with a cartoonish polar bear slashing a walk in two with his powerful claws. What the fuck? The design resembled a warning sign about wild animals seen in the mountains that stood out in Miyazaki for its one-of-a-kind originality. This was the Chinese restaurant, the Mad Bear. Aside from its name and logo, the restaurant was the type of cheap, hole-in-the-wall dive that could be found anywhere. In face of competition from the ever-increasing number of chain restaurants, though, it had many managed to last longer than other dining spots, having received rave reviews on a regular basis. The Mad Bear prioritized the personal touch, focusing on its local clientele, and thus made a point to offer home delivery. It is the 80s. It had earned the affectionate moniker QKS, the quick killer stop. Making these deliveries was Sojiro's responsibility for the time being. Placing Misaki within cycling distance fell under his domain. Anything beyond that was handled by a more experienced staff member on the legendary 50cc King Salmon motorbike. But anyway,
ヤシロギのダチから聞いたんだけどな。
you'll never guess what Buddy Yagishiro told me. Buddy Yagishiro, he told me. And delivery workers were not on deliveries. They spent their shift bussing tables or washing dishes. The dinner was yet to come, and Sergio and his fellow delivery boys were shooting the breeze while washing dishes in the back.
聞いてるか、しずき。
Yo, Suzuki.
聞いてるよ、木の実。
I'm listening, Konomi. I'm listening. The two were elbows deep in a giant sink. As they enthusiastically scrubbed, at least that was what they pretended to do while they gossiped.
和食のケニアだけじゃねえんだってよ。三崎町の大帝都にもメシアンにもその手の注文があったらしいぜ。
It's just not there's a Japanese place, you know. Kinyana? He heard Imperial Metropolis and Masayan are here in Misaki got orders too.
そんなに肉が欲しいなら下市に行けばいいのにな。なんだって生肉だの大物の鮭丸ごとだのを出前させやがるのか。
I mean, if you want that much meat, just go to Chitachi. Man. Who the heck orders raw meat and entire salmon?
どうよ。こう露骨にヤバそうな話じゃね。ワニとかアザラシでも飼ってるんじゃねえかな、そいつ。
I'll tell you, something we're going on in the first place. For real. Maybe they have a pet alligator or
他
something.
に比べてみると確かに珍しい話だと思う。
I've definitely never heard
と
an
ころ
order
で
like that
木の実
before.
ワニってなんだ？
What's an alligator?
ワニはワニだろう。だっせ実物見たことないのかよ。まあ俺もねえけどな。
An alligator's an alligator, dude. You don't mean you really never seen one? I mean, I've never actually seen one in real life, like either. But even I know what an alligator is.
今度ガクガク動物ランドのアフリカ特集ビデオを貸してやるから見とけよ。
You know what? I'll lend you my tape of the world's most terrifying animals episode on Africa. There's a familiar pattern of conversation between the two, especially now Konomi was used to Sergio's lack of general knowledge. Their banter was interrupted by the delivery phone. The manager snapped up the receiver and quickly jotted down the order and address. Once he hung up, everyone in the kitchen did their best to avoid making eye contact with him. Nobody wanted to go rushing out for delivery on such a cold day.
しずきくん、ちょっと遠いけど配達をお願い。
Yuki, this one's a little far away, but I want you to handle it. The manager singled Sojiro out for the task, seemingly unfazed by his staff's
はいこ
laziness.
れ届けるもののリスト。異例だからあまり他のバイトに
Here's the order.
しないようにね。
And it's an unusual one, so keep it to yourself, okay? The manager tore the sheet, the order, and the address written on it from his memo pad. Sojiro took one look at it before a grimace quietly spread across his face.
マネージャー？
Boss?
なんだい
Yeah? The manager stared right back at him, as if he could tell what it was he wanted to
君
say.
の疑問はもっともだ。しかしまあ長いことこの商売をやっていると時にはこんなバカな話が転がってくることもある。そうおかしなことじゃない。
I know what you're thinking, but I've been in the business a long time. And this is far from the strangest order I've seen. It's no big deal.
じゃあ冷蔵庫から
What,
品物持ってくる
what,
から
what, I don't even know I'm doing a consistent voice. Let me get to the stuff in the cold storage. Jojo stared at admiration as the manager, dressed in black, marched out of the kitchen in an all-business way. Nowhere was free from the odd occurrence now and then. What could it possibly be? Will we see the strange woman that Sojiro saw once before? You're late. What? It was after 10 at night. Sojiro had taken a small detour on his way home from work and now faced an outraged Aoko as he expected. Seeing her so visibly irritated made him feel a rush of relief. He did not know why she was angry, but he could tell it was a different type of anger than what he saw earlier that morning.
遅いってまだ10時になったばかりだろう。どうしたんだ青崎。
Really? But it's only after 10. A little after 10. Something happened, Aozaki? He sat down, the cardboard box he had been carrying in his arm, and glanced towards the fireplace. The sleeping girl was there no more.
違うわ。もう10時になったの間違いでしょ。
Not only a little after 10. You arrived after curfew.
あんたってほんと自分がどんな状態にあるか分かってないのね。
Wait, sorry. It's not only a little after 10. Sorry. We got no clue why I'm angry, do you?
いいから今に来て。
Just come with me to the drawing room. He walked briskly to the other room, without pausing, leaving Sojiro standing in confusion, head tilted to one side. He proceeded to pick his box back up and follow after her eagerly. He removed his coat and hung it up on a hanger as he entered the living room. Apparently today was one of those days where Alice kept herself locked away in her room. On the table were the familiar pills.
説明しなかった私も悪いけど、あなたも帰ってくる時間は守ってよね。こっちはそのつもりで作ってるんだから。
It's partially my fault for not being more clear about this, but you need to come home on time. Your curfew exists for a reason. Ako handed him the pills and a glass of water with an expectant look on her face. But I already took
薬
the
なら
pills.
出かける前に飲んだけど、体の調子だって悪くないし、そんなに慌てることか？
But I already took the pills before I went out. I feel fine anyway. I don't think I need more pills today.
は？なんだって私たちがあんたの健康を気にかけなくちゃいけないのよ。
Excuse me? You think this has anything to do with how you feel?
勘違いしてるようだけど、あんたが帰ってくるたびに飲んでるのって平たく言えば毒よ。
Let's get real. These pills you take every day when you come home, they're poison.
即効性じゃないから効き目は半日すると出てくるんだけど、その前に新しい毒薬を飲んでおかないと古い毒が体に回ってばったりいくって寸法ね。
Slow acting poison. Mine. And they take half a day to kick in. If you don't take more pills before that happens, the older poison will kill you.
アリスのやつ、これぐらいしないと信用できないって言い張ったのよ。
This is how much rope Alice is willing to give you.
ほら、分かったらさっさと飲む。
Get it? So drink up.
ま、私もこれ面倒だと思うし。
I'm enjoying this about as much as you are.
近いうちもっと形のある方法を考えてみるから、それまでこの方法で我慢して。
Until I think of a way around this, you're just gonna have to deal with it.
言ってることは支離滅裂だが、とにかく今まで良くないものを飲んでたんだ。
Maybe I misheard you for a second. Did you say the pills I've been taking this whole time were actually bad for me? Jojo took the pills from her and gulped it down. The fact that it was poison gave him no pause at all. And as for his roommate's tyrannical behavior, he showed no signs of standing up to it.
まったく、毒を持って毒を制するなんて、また古風な真似するな。青崎もありそう。
Poison to cancel poison. You two really are taking the old-fashioned approach, huh? Jojo's face relaxed into a smile upon finding the funny side of the situation. Alka was utterly dumbfounded as to how you could be happy at a time like this.
今日帰りが遅れたのは、アパートまで荷物を取りに行っていたからなんだ。そういうことなら電話の一つでもすればよかった。
I was running late, on the way home because I dropped by my old apartment to get all my stuff. You could have tried calling me. It was such a big deal, you know.
荷物ってまさかそれじゃないでしょうね。
Wait, is that everything? Majora nodded empathetically as she pointed incredulously at the cardboard box in his hand.
住んでいないのに家賃を払うのはバカらしいから今日で引き上げてきた。一応いつでも戻れるように話はつけてあるから3ヶ月ぐらいは大丈夫だよ。
It's able to pay rent when I don't even live there. So I thought I should move everything out, but I arranged it so I can get back anytime within the next 3 months.
家賃？
Rent.
あ、そっか。
Oh, right.
私ってばなんでそんなことを忘れてたんだろう。アリスが聞いたら喜ぶわ、そりゃ。
Oh, right. How could I forget? I'm sure Alice will be thrilled to hear about this. A smile blossomed across her face, as they say. It was the open, bold-faced look of a child who came up with a mischievous plan. Sergio shook with fear as the thought of what that smile might bring his way.
けどずいぶん少ないのね、荷物。段ボール1箱分しかないの？
You sure don't have that much. That one cardboard box has all your old possessions?
そうかな。十分多いだろう。それよりアリスは自室か？
This is a lot to me. Is Alice
ちょっと
upstairs?
前に戻ったわ。珍しく食後もここに残ってたんだけど、待ちきれなかったみたいね。
Just went to her room. Although she stayed at the dinner table longer than usual, I guess she got tired of waiting. She gave Sutro a meaningful look while continuing to smile that sinister smile.
待ちきれなかったって何を？
She got tired of waiting. Or what?
そりゃあ、アリスが眠ってるのをいいことに、在庫のないフォションとブルーキャリコを勝手に使ってくれたどこかの誰かさんにお仕置きするためなんじゃない？
I imagine she wants to punish whoever decided to use the last of her fashion in blue calico.
フォッションってあのお茶の葉？
Why do I know that name? I think Faustum is the brand of tea I use.
そう、私もびっくりしたけどね。アリスがどっかで寝入るのはよくあることだけど、紅茶を用意して眠るなんてのは初めてだったから。
It sure is. To be honest, even I was shocked when I was first walked in. I know how she fell asleep all over the mansion, but I never seen her prepare tea first.
どんな心境の変化か知りたくて起こしたら、アリスの方が驚いてたわ。一体誰の仕業なんだって。
I woke her up. I'm losing my mind. We're hitting the 2-hour mark where I'm losing my mind. I woke her up to see if she was okay, and she was just as surprised as I was. We couldn't imagine who would do such a thing. Joe claps his hands together as if he remembers something important. He had forgotten to clean up the tea before leaving. The regret written from forehead to chin delighted Alco immensely.
そうか。それじゃあアリスは怒っていただろう。
See, how mad was she?
当然、コマドリがとばっちりでドリブルされてたしね。
Pretty mad. Robin was a flutter about it too.
ああ
Oh, so you're
俺
aware,
でも怒
Robin?
る。片付けをきちんとしないなんてだらしないにも程がある。
That might be the single most important thing to come out of this chapter is Alco is aware of Robin, so it's not a secret. Well, I'm mad at myself too, if that helps. I can't believe I forgot to take them back to the kitchen. Which were harshly scolded himself for his failure.
論点違う。あのね、寝顔を間近で見られたから怒ってるのよ、アリスは。
No, dummy, she's mad at you because you sat and watched her sleep.
え？そうかな。アリスはそういうのは気にしないと思うんだけど。
Oh, I didn't think she would mind all that much.
あんたはそうかもしれないけど、私たちは気にするの。
Well, we do mind when you watch us sleep, just so you know. Alco's glare was enough to make glass shatter. There was an indescribable intensity in the way she said that.
それは青崎たち限定の話か？
You mean it's a personal pet peeve for you and Alice?
世間一般での常識よ。自分が気にしないからって他人もそうだと思ってると、いつかやけどするからね。
No, it's common sense. If you go around assuming that other people feel the same way as you, you're asking for trouble.
でもそれだったらロビーで寝ているアリスにだって問題ないか？ 見かけたら放っておけないだろう、女の。
Huh? But isn't it kind of her fault for falling asleep in the foyer in the first place? It'd be strange if I saw her like that and didn't want to look out for her.
その心意気は立派だけど、そこはそれ。この館の持ち主は彼女だから。
Look, I appreciate that's what you thought, but you just have to understand that's how the lady of the house is.
この洋館内であなたが出会ったあらゆる不義不始末、失敗失態の責任は宗十郎に押し付けられるの。
How you live here, responsibility for any and all mistakes or bad judgments on your part will be laid at your feet, and your feet alone.
この意味、わかる？
Do you get what I'm trying to say here? Ako's question sent Sergio into a trance of deep thought until finally he uttered.
つまりここはアリスの自治領なんだな。
So in other words, I'm in Alice's kingdom now?
はい、よくできました。正確には私とアリスのだけどね。領主は何をやっても許されるってことよ。
Yes, congratulations. Although technically the kingdom belongs to both me and her, which means what we say goes. She smiled as she spoke and plopped herself down on the sofa. Sergio remained standing behind the sofa opposite to her as he ran over the conversation again and again in his head. The notion of this being their kingdom made him realize he actually had no idea where the girls had come from on their family's background.
青崎、君ご両親はどうしてるんだ？
Where are your parents? Awazaki. He had never really blurted out, this being the question foremost on his mind.
生きてるわよ。三崎町から下りに4駅行った東川ってところの地主。父は祖父だけど、今は隠居して両親と一緒の土地に住んでるわ。
They're alive and well. They own a place in Tokawa, 4 stops from Misaki. I learned everything I know from my grandfather, who's retired now and lives with me.
そう聞くとなんだか普通の家庭だな。
Huh. Sounds like a pretty normal family. Sergio had imagined something more outrageous for our family if the
両親はね、父さんにはあんまり魔術回路は作られなかったみたいだから、その分私には2世代分の潜在能力があるって祖父は言ってるけど、どうだか。
Sure. As far as my parents go, my father sucked as a mage. My grandfather says it skipped a generation, so I get double the power. I'm not so sure about that.
宗十郎の期待してるような一族はどっちかっていうとアリスの方よ。
I think Alice is
私
more
と
with the
違
type
って
of
英
family
国
you're
出身だから
imagining.
ね、彼女。
She's from England, you know? Yeah, we get it. Ako offered nothing more. It's just that was as far as she was willing to reveal for now. Sergio had insisted on talking to Alice directly rather than hearing things secondhand. So chose not to go back on his word by pushing the topic further.
ま、詳しくは本人から聞きなさい。アリスの紅茶好きもそこから来てるんだし。
Ask her if you want to know more. Now you know where she loves English blends of tea so much.
そ
So
うい
he
え
should
ば、
buy her an
なん
English
で
tea
今日
of
に限っ
brine.
てリーフティーなんか入れたの？ティーバッグを使った方がまだマシだったでしょうに。
Speaking of which, why do you use tea leaves today of all days? You should have stuck to tea bags.
青崎がそっちの方がいいって言ったじゃないか。アリスは紅茶にうるさいって。
But you said tea leaves taste better. And also Alice is picky about her tea. I'll go momentarily at a loss for words. He seemed so oblivious most of the time, but apparently he was attentive to some details, at least selectively.
ま、いいわ。それより明日の放課後だけど、また一人で帰ってくれない？
Just forget it. Anyway, you think you can make it home by yourself tomorrow?
年明けの行事があるんだけど、その場しのぎで行った餅つき大会が通っちゃってさ、明日も忙しいのよ、私。
They accepted my proposal for making a mochi making festival in the new year, so I'll be pretty busy with that. Sergio nodded in acceptance. In fact, he had already been planning to do so before she even asked.
それはいいけど、体は大丈夫か、青崎。昨日から寝てないだろ
I'll be fine, but what about you? You haven't slept since yesterday.
夕方に3時間ちょい仮眠を取ったから調子はいいわ。
Oh, I took a quick 3-hour nap earlier. I'll be fine.
そういうあんたこそ体は持つんでしょうね。もう少ししたら昨日の続き始めるわよ。
What about you, for that matter? I hope you didn't forget about our session tonight. She meant the all-night cramming session, of course. Needless to say, Sergio was more than likely to struggle, given that he too had not slept a wink. All he could do was give a relieved smile. He thought back to the days just after he transferred here, when she watched his every move from the sidelines and showed a startling amount of concern for him.
いいよ。どのみち苦労するのは青崎の方だし、異例中の異例はありがたく受け取っておくとしよう。
I didn't forget. And besides, it's tougher on you than me, Aozaki. I'm still glad to be your exception amongst exceptions. His cheery response grated on her just a little.
あんた、くだらないことだけはしつこく覚えてるんだから。
Wow, you managed to forget everything except the most irritating little details, don't you? She heaved her shoulders in exasperation and dropped her head as an excuse to look away from the beaming smile on his face. The following day, the last day of the finals had ended without a hitch. That final December hurdle was finally a thing of the past, for all but one student, that is. Sergio, the greatest challenge was yet to come. He bid farewell to his classmate, and all jittery of excitement for the last day of term, he headed to the Shironizuka Woods. I did not know that's the name of the woods. The road home was no different than yesterday, like he was reliving yet another day striding up that hill. Yet today there was a fierce determination in his step. Today was his last chance, and he wanted nothing more than to talk to the girl. He did not care if it was if she was cruel to him or ignored him, or whatever. Alka was being truthful when she said that she could trap him in a mirror land or something like that. All he really cared about was having the chance to speak with her face to face. But nothing is ever that simple. To tell you the truth, what he found upon finally entering the mansion was not wholly unexpected.
よく寝る子だな、本当。
She sure sleeps a lot. Same spot? Deja vu. The deja vu he was experiencing made him dizzy. His face with an exact reenactment of the previous day, he could not help but blurt out what he was thinking. I was sleeping by the fireplace, just as she done yesterday. I like this song. I don't think I've heard this one yet. The way her legs draped to one side resembled those of a princess in the children's book. She looked more comfortable than she had the day before. Miraculously, he had a rare flash of insight that enabled him to read the situation more clearly.
学校で
Oh?
飛び丸は一人何をしているんだろう。
What could Toberon be doing at school on his own? Upon glancing back at the entrance, he made a decision, took a deep breath, and rolled up his sleeve. Today was a reenactment of yesterday that he supposed he would play along with that idea. Pedro removed his shoes and headed for the kitchen. He was off to prepare another ill-fated pot of tea. Since she was angry about him using her precious Halcyon, this time he turned to jackfruit and herb brew. Yuck. I hate fruity, I hate herby teas, which is kind of redundant because I guess it's hard to describe teas as not like innately herby, but like since she was angry about him using... Sadly, this was about as much as Sergio could manage to amend his behavior. He had failed to realize that it's not the branded tea that had landed him in hot water, but rather his incorrect brewing method. You have to say, how about maybe they can bond over brewing methods. After filling the pot with tea, he carried it back to the foyer. His breath was visible in the cold air as he sat himself down by the fireplace. Sergio took a sip of fruity tea that he prepared for himself and pulled his textbook from his bag. Exams were over now, but he had been instructed to take extra classes for his subjects from day one of school. Quite inevitable. The foyer was warmer than the outside, but still far from comfortable. It was enough to make anyone yearn for some sort of warmth. Sergio dove into his electronics textbook in the winter-chilled hall. The class was not very popular, which is why it had been recommended to him in the first place. The fact that everyone who took it started on equal footing made it more appealing to him than other classes. Aozaki was right. He downed the rest of the tea, having no appreciation for its flavor, and refilled his cup. The tea was still warm, since the ceramic teapot had excellent heat potential. I can't seem to remember anything that's written down. He vaguely recalled their conversation as his eyes advanced across the place. The lack of lighting in the foyer was forcing him to rely on the illumination from the skylight. The light cut the room at a diagonal angle in such a way as to divide the foyer into light and dark areas, with the fireplace in shadow. The room resembled ancient ruins, covered in ash. Or perhaps the quiet, forgotten world of a faded fairy tale. Time slipped on by within the white walls of the room, hidden away from the sun. I do notice my cadence falls apart at the hour 45 mark. The minutes passed slowly for some time, until the sound of a textbook slamming shut brought the room back to the reality. Sergio stretched his stiff back and eagerly got started on cleaning up. He placed textbook back in his bag, placed his cup on the tray, leaving Alice sitting in front of the floor. Well, time to go to work, he said unceremoniously. He spoke as if to convince himself that he had no other choice as he prepared to leave the sleepy foyer behind. But before he could, the sound behind him stopped him in his tracks. He turned around with his bag under his arm and tray in hands. As to cause even a ripple in her teacup, he greeted her.
Yeah.
Hey. In a light, easygoing manner, she remained seated next to the fireplace like a black-eyed sleeping beauty. Her face was still as a statue. Almost no wonder there had been in slumber. Looking at Alice now, he realized just how different she and Alko really were. Alko communicated her feelings openly, even he never could quite tell where they came from. Her trademark expression of irritation would keep him guessing as to the reason she was angry. But to her credit, her emotional state was always clear. Alice, on the other hand, was completely unreadable. She might be angry, or then again sad. You could not tell either way. What do you think you're doing? Her question gave him a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach. He could not decide whether it was animosity or perplexity that he heard in her voice. If it's the former, this was likely to turn into a replay of their interaction from the other night. An image of the shattered bottle sprang to his mind. Sojiro knew this response would be extremely important, and after struggling for a few moments, he finally worked up the courage to say something. Just not the correct thing, unfortunately.
そうだな。一口じゃ説明できないから。座るよ。
Right, about that. It'll take a while to explain, so let me just have a seat first. He had no idea what the correct approach would be, so he simply did whatever came to his mind instead. Yeah, she looked fucking pissed. She gave him no response. Her face said that she detested his presence, but he plowed ahead regardless. George took a seat and set the tray down once more as their eyes met. Her inscrutable glaze was enough to turn most people away. Gaze. But the target of her animosity appeared not to notice it at all.
それで何？
Yes.
ああ、遅くなったけど、こうして話がしたかったんだ、アリスと。
Well, I guess I should have done this a long time ago. I've been wanting to talk to you about something, Alice. Despite having suggested that it would take time to explain, he managed to sum things up succinctly.
私と
Me?
会うことではなく、
Not Alco?
ん？そうだね。青崎とはもっと話したいところだけど、それよりは3人で話してみたい。
Well, I have lots to talk about with Azaki. I have lots to talk to Awazaki about. See, there's sometimes a translation where I'm like, I just wouldn't say it like this. I don't know. I think it's just a differing of people. In fact, it feels, it's just so intuitive. Like I can tell my ADHD kind of can guess the author's writing of the books I do read, but for some reason, this is just so completely out of sync with me. I don't know. In fact, I think all three of us should sit down at some point. Alice found herself out of kilter, unable to read his intentions. Sojiro continued on, failing to notice her bewilderment.
青崎は普段からアリスとは会話がないって言うんだ。それが俺のせいなら困るし、俺のせいじゃないならもっと困る。
Azaki said you two rarely speak to each other. I feel bad if it's because of me. I feel even worse if it isn't.
せっかく同じ場所にいるのに会話がないなんて。
It said that we lived together but never talk. Each word he spoke was heavy with emotion. Alice remained utterly unable to discern this boy's intentions. All she could parse was that there was something he wanted from her. But what could that be? What she found even stranger was that he was not speaking to her from a place of fear.
あなたは私が怖くないの？
Aren't you afraid of me?
ああ、だってそう言えるほど俺は君をよく知らない。
No, I don't know enough about you to be scared of you, to tell you the truth. Her gleaming eyes looked like they were made of polished quartz. His response was not been what she expected. He spoke with pure honesty, unfettering truth. Such boldness, however, did not actually upset her. Their conversation ground to a halt, if you could even call it a conversation in the first place. Alice grew tense, as if displeased by the strangely comfortable moment of silence between them. Sojiro endured her cold stare, showing no signs of flinching. Talk.
私と話をしたいと言ったでしょ。
She said she wanted to talk to me.
なら好きにしてみたら。
So, be my guest, whatever topic you'd like. It was more of a challenge than an invitation. Yet neither the topic on hand nor were they intimate enough to strike up a casual conversation. Nonetheless, her challenge hung in the air, waiting for a response.
じゃああの鳥の話を。ほらそこにいる青い鳥。
Well, what about that bird? The blue one over
たまに
there.
見かけるんだけど、君の飼い鳥か？
I see it around now and then. So your
それ
pet?
ともほら、なんて言ったかな。プロイだっけ？
Or is it
あ
one
の
of
鳥もアリ
those...
スの使い魔？
What are they called? Boys? Magical familiar? Her eyes let slip for a moment a very natural response. It was annoyance, such as which one might feel toward a troublemaker.
あれもプロイだけど、私とは何の関係もないダッチョウ。ずいぶん古くからいるだけで、私もよく知らないわ。
I don't like that. I don't like that. This is a ploy, but the stupid bird isn't mine. It's lived here longer than I have, and I'm afraid I don't know much about it. You don't know much about it.
じゃあ勝手に住んでるのか？この家に。
You mean it decided to live here of its own free will?
勝手になんて、私が許すはずがないでしょ。
Of course not. I would never allow such a
ロ
thing.
ビンは本当に役に立たないけど、あんなのでも母から譲り受けたものだから、
Robin's useless.
失敗続きでも特別に住まわせてあげてるの。
But I inherited from my mother. As such, I've remained to continue to live here, despite its constant failures and shortcomings.
そっか、安心した。ここに住むの役に立たなきゃダメってわけでもないんだ
I
ね。
see. That's a relief. Here I was thinking I was the only useless one in the house. Turned away in silence to avoid looking at his hapless grin. Thus began Sergio's very lengthy monologue. It started with his part-time job, then moved on to school, next came the amusement park, and random gossip around town, and the last subject of rent. Spent all 20 minutes on mindless small talk. Then he ran out of things to say, he finally stopped.
ごめん、アルバイトがあるからもう行くよ。
Sorry, I'm on the clock soon, so I should get going. And that was that. He sewed this dumb fucking expression. After finally getting his long-awaited chance to talk to her, he realized he had no exit plan in place. So he returned the tray to the kitchen, placed his bag in the foyer, and headed for the door. She had never seen the boy so candid, which was why, overcome surprise, she found herself calling out to him.
待って。
Wait. He had no reason to do so, and yet she called out anyway.
ん？何？
Yes?
その、
It's just...
今日はポットがあったけど。
saw the pot you used today.
うん。昨日の反省点だったから。結局使ったのは自分だけだけど。
Alright, I wasn't going to make the same mistake as yesterday, but I guess I am the only one who drank any today, so...
そう。そのポットはコーヒーとの
Use
兼
that
用だか
coffee
ら。
pot!
ハーブティーには合わないわ。
Well, that pot is normally used for coffee, so you shouldn't put tea leaves in it. Trevor's eyes grew wide with shock. Now he remembered that there had been all sorts of cups and teapots in the cupboard, but each one specifically designed for a different type
な
of
か
tea.
なかに奥深い。
Who knew there was so much in
あれ
tea?
かな。慣れないことはするもんじゃないってことか。
I guess a beginner like me shouldn't mess with things he doesn't understand, huh? She let out a vexed sigh.
どうして私を起こさなかったの？
Why didn't you wake me? Because she had not heard what he said or had been waiting this whole time for a chance to ask him that. In any case, her questions abruptly interrupted his stream of thought. He fell silent with introspection, much like me. He thought of waking had not so much as crossed his mind either that day or the previous one.
言って
Really? Tell me,
起こす気も起きることも期待していなかったのは
you didn't wake me.
な
You
ぜ？
expect me to just keep sleeping? Her eyes were filled with animosity. Lies were useless against such an all-piercing gaze. The setting sun transformed the foyer into a battle of life and death. Lies or deceptive answers would not be permitted. Amidst the palpable tension that filled the room, or any move, wrong or otherwise, was likely to get him killed. He felt pain rather than fear. Alice's voice was icy cold, preemptively rejecting any response he was to give. The boy vaguely imagined a newborn chick that had fallen from the nest, struggling to survive on its own. It gasped, hanging onto the thread of hope, yet detesting where the thread hung.
言わなきゃいけないか。
Do you really want to know? Alice nodded
じゃあ
sharply.
言うけど、別に深い考えがあったわけじゃない。単に寝た子を起こすのは良くないだろ。
It's fine, but it's nothing especially meaningful or anything. I think it's rude to wake someone who's sleeping.
冗談は聞いてないわ。
I have no time for jokes.
冗談じゃないよ。眠っているのならそのままでいいと思ったんだ。話はしたいけど、それはまた目が覚めた次の機会にするべきだって。
That is the truth. I thought I should let you sleep. I really wanted to talk, but I decided to wait till the next time we saw each other.
随分と悠長なのね。青子があなたを守るのは今日までだって聞いているけど。
How sweet of you. That reminds me. Aqua's protection over you ends today, doesn't it?
私に取り入る機会はこれが最後なのに。
That makes this your last chance to win me over. Wait a minute. You didn't try to win her over a single day because you were studying. Okay.
それとも、あれだけ忠告されておいて、まだ何も分かっていないの。
So have you or have you not learned your lesson? He had not. What was the lesson? I'll be real. Neither have I. What was the lesson he was trying to learn? I paused to think. He swore to her, agreed to her terms, and gone as far as to sit face to face with her to get to know her. Surely he had thought this was enough to escape death, and she believed, as amazed, this naive goodwill and simple-mindedness were all the reasons she needed to execute him. Trivial misunderstandings will only make things worse at this point.
そりゃ何もわからないよ。魔術とか
You
魔
looking
法
at?
とか。
Okay, I don't know
たった
about
数日
this
でわ
one.
かるもんか。
What lesson? What am I supposed to learn again? Have learned? All this magic and madecraft stuff is way over my head.
はっきりしているのは、アリスも青崎も言ったことはきっちり守るってことだけだ。
All I know is I've done everything you and Aozaki have asked of me.
なら、どうして？
Then why? Her gaze said what she really wanted to ask. She wanted to know why did he not beg for his life. She knew the answer. She saw the look on his face when he turned to leave without so much as trying to wake her. A look of resignation. What on earth had it meant?
どうしてって、そう言われても困る。
I thought if the opportunity didn't
機会が訪れなかったのなら、それはそういうことだと思ったのかもしれない。
So I just picked up a pencil and it like exploded apart. I don't know what just happened. Hold on. Hold on. Actually, when these pencils work. There you go. I thought if the opportunity didn't present itself, then so be it.
君の寝顔はそれぐらい、なんていうか、判断に困った。青崎とは違う意味で、簡単には関われないと思ったんだ。
When I saw you sleeping again, I didn't know what to do. You're not exactly the easiest person to approach. You and Aozaki. Though Azaki's a little different. Sojiro struggled to find the right words, but said what he was feeling in the moment anyway. He had seen a sleeping witch on the wood. Sleeping witch of the wood clearly needed someone's help, sought the help of no
そう
one.
でもしずきくんは関わろうとしているのね。
But here, you are trying to approach me anyway.
その機会は訪れなかったの。
Even though the opportunity never presented itself.
機会はやってきたよ。なんでこっちも今日ぐらいは自分の勝手にして無茶をしたくなったんだ。
Oh, but it did. That's why I decided to do things my way today. Even if nothing could go right to begin with.
しずきくんの言う通りなら私はあなたを拒絶するしかないのに。
It's like as though you always expected me to reject you. Well, you always expected to reject him, so...
まあそこが難しいところなんだけど。
Yeah, I guess it's hard to explain. Jojo glanced at the entrance. He had no reason to. He just felt the urge to do so.
多分そこを解決したがってるのは俺だけじゃないと思うよ。
I doubt I'm the only one who would like to see the situation solved. He mustered as if speaking to himself. It was truly meant for her to hear. Alice knew full well how poorly he had understood the situation. All of this was one giant misunderstanding on his part. His tiny gesture of goodwill, pitiful and pure, resembled that of someone reaching out to help a dying kitten. For Alice, doing so would be akin to clutching the thorns of a rose. She felt pain in her chest for the first time in quite a while.
けど私はあなたの同居を認めてはいないわ。
I still don't want you in this mansion. She addressed the floor at her feet to avoid showing him how she truly felt. If he had, he would have seen her face look just the way Alcos had her later.
だろうな。それはきっと今は解決できない問題だ。
I'm sure you don't. I thought that would change anytime soon.
でもそのうち何かの気まぐれであっさり終わるものかもしれない。だからその時までアリスはずっと俺を嫌っていていいんだと思う。
But it doesn't mean we can't work something out. It's okay if you keep hitting me in the meantime. Her gasp of breath was like a response in itself. Just that she could keep hating him. She had once wished to hear those words so dearly, if only the once.
大体だぞ。アリスだけじゃなく青崎も同居を認めてない節があるじゃないか。
I mean, you're not the only one. That goes for Alzaki too. I don't think she wants me here either.
だから認めてもらうなんて意気込み自体が間違いなんだ。どうあっても俺は青崎や君たちとは違うんだし。
Expecting me to feel welcome would be a big mistake on my part. We're fundamentally different people, and that's never going to change.
となると、あとは我慢してもらうしかない。
I just want you to tolerate.
難しい話だけど、一緒にいても邪魔にならないぐらいなら、その可能性は上がらないか？
I know it's a lot to ask, but is there a way I could live here without bothering you too much? Thinking that, of course, it was possible, but if it were that easy, none of this would have been necessary in the first place. I'll acknowledge I did it in agreement. There's no way he could have planned for things to work out this well. But his plan, in fact, had worked, if inadvertently, from the moment the conversation began.
例えばあなたが隣にいても眠っていられるぐらいに。
You mean so that I can sleep undisturbed, even with you sitting right next to me?
そうだね。例えばの話。
Sure, why not? Beaming, Sergio stood up and left the foyer. I did not stop him this time. He had a newfound spring in his step as he headed to work, but something gave him a moment's
実
pause.
際、覗き見は趣味が悪いと思う。
It's not nice to spy on people. He complained aloud to make sure certain someone heard him. No more than 2 minutes had passed and Sojiro left the mansion, when a long-haired figure came creeping into the foyer. Akazaki had been just outside the entire time, eavesdropping.
帰ってたの。
When did you get home? With a sullen glare, Alice addressed the interrogator. Alco was shivering from head to toe after standing in the cold for so long. She deemed gloves an abomination and refused to wear them except in the most extreme cold. As a result, her slender fingers were pitifully swollen red. What a dumb take. What the hell?
ちょっと前にね。それでどうだったのアリス。随分と話してたみたいだけど。
Don't know. A while ago. Anyway, how'd it go? You two were talking for so long. She looked strangely elated as she blew on her hands to warm them. Alice was not fooled by all that at all by Alco's facade, clearly from the ill-tempered look she wore on her face.
あなたがここまで過保護とは思わなかったわ。
I never expected you to be so overprotective.
意地？それとも義務？
But did you do it out of stubbornness or obligation?
どっちかっていうと成り行きね。
Oh please, I was just going with the flow.
で、どうだったのよ結果は。気に食わなかったら実力行使に出るって言ってたじゃない。
Seriously, how'd it go? You told me he would resort to force if he made you mad. You would resort to force if he made you mad. Alice's mood was growing darker and darker the longer she had to look at Alco's cheerful posturing. It all went back to their dinner together the previous night. After everything that happened in the foyer, Alice was both more suspicious of and intrigued by Sojiro than ever before. She insisted that Alco let him walk home alone the next day. She then used a concoction to fake her slumber and recreate the same scene as the previous day. That portion of the plan went well. The rest had veered totally off course. It did not help to know that her roommate had savored every moment of it from the underside of the wall either. To make matters worse, Alice was frustrated at her for letting such trivial matters bother her. She stared at the teacup still sitting on the floor. Her pale fingers traced its cold ring.
青子の言う通り、害にはならない人ね。 It's as you said, he is harmless. あくまで今のところの話だけど。
For the time being. He forced a tone of indifference in order to hide her irritation of her apprentice. It was in that moment, that Sojiro's fate was decided.
あら、それだけ？アリスにしては長く話してたのに。
That's it? We were talking for what seemed like forever. Relentless, Alco continued her line of questioning. This chapter is going on way longer than the estimates were. I wonder if that's just me reading the lines. Alice only stared back icily.
青子、あなた、隠していたわね。
Alco, I know you were eavesdropping. Her voice, her displeasure of Alco's behavior in no uncertain terms. Suddenly, the air in the foyer felt cold as ice. They stared at one another, each trying to guess the other's next move.
さすがね。よくそこに気がついたもんだわ。でも、こればかりは譲れないのよ。
So you did notice. This doesn't change anything about our deal. I hope that's clear. Alco widened her stance and glared at Alice.
何も全て奪うとは言っていないわ。そうね。あなたにも3割ぐらいは回すつもり。
I'm a reasonable person, Alco. It's fine with me if you take 30%. Completely unperturbed by Alco's warlike posturing. A simple look was all Alice needed to drop her roommate in check.
10が3に化けちゃ、ちょっと黙ってらんないわね。
Down from all of it? Huh, not a chance.
高望みは命取りよ、青子。
Fly too high and you may lose those wings, Alco. Alice remained calm and dignified, not moving a muscle. I feel like hours passed as the two stared at each other in silence. Alco was grinding her teeth in frustration. At this rate, their alliance would be in tatters before they even confronted their foe. And worst of all, she knew Alice had the upper hand.
Catch.
Cheapskate. Alco accepted her defeat with a tisk.
悔しいけど、アリスが6。私が4で手を打つわ。
Fine, you get 60, I get 40. It pained her to settle for less. Alice nodded in satisfaction.
そうね。家主は私だけど、彼を招いたのは青子だから。その代わり、家賃の取り立てはあなたの役割ね。
Very well. But I'm the head of the household and you're the one who brought him here, so it's your job to collect rent.
いいけど。ああ、情けない。こんなことなら錬金術でもかじっておくんだった。
Fine.
そうすればこんな思いをしなくても済んだのに。
Sucks. I should have gone alchemy instead. Then all my problems would have been solved.
そうでもないわ。彼らバブルが弾けて大変だって話よ。
Not really. Not even alchemists are immune to market downturns. I spoke with some confidence of someone with first-hand experience on such matters, yet Alko only nodded absent-mindedly in response. Their bitter fight was over how to split the take of Sojo's rent, now that he was officially going to move in. Not the most welcoming quarrel for repair wages. Forcing a boy to live with them and then demanding he pay rent was beyond extortion, was truly vicious.
でも、そんなセリフが出るってことは、アリスもようやく認めたってことね。
Since we're discussing this, I assume this means you accepted his presence in the mansion. Alko was triumphantly satisfied with herself.
認めてはいないけど、公園での夜、彼を結界で捕捉しなかった責任があるから。
The only thing I've accepted is my responsibility for not catching him with the boundfield in the park that night.
彼と約束をした青子だけを責められないでしょ。
I mean, it's not like I can blame it all on you and your promise to him.
約束。あ。
Oh, that. Alko looked up the ceiling as she recalled the night at the amusement park. Only a week at most had passed since Alko already felt that Sojo's fate and her own had become intrinsically linked. Or perhaps they had always been connected by fate since the moment they met. She could not see into the future, so there was no way to know for sure.
ま、縁とか運とかはともかく。
Destiny and fate aside,
変だけどいいやつよね、あいつ。
it's not a bad egg. Besides being weird, I mean. As thought uttered to herself in self-confirmation more than to Alice. Alice could only look on in annoyance, perhaps in an attempt to voice her displeasure at her comment.
青子、あの傷を知ってる？
You know about his injury, Alko.
傷？
Injury? What injury? Alice raised her slender fingers to her mouth as if to push the words back in. She had blurted out into the heat of the moment. A secret that no one else was supposed to know, but that which one could not keep to herself. Alko twisted her head in confusion.
So,
I see. Alice looked relieved for some reason. So the antipathy towards Alko had dissipated as well.
幸せな人。
Ignorance is bliss, I suppose. Is he dying? What is with this? Said Alice as she took a sip of her cold tea. She made an attempt not to explain who was fortunate or why. A moment later, a beautiful face contorted in revulsion.
まず。
Yuck. Yuck. She abandoned the cup on the floor once more, her black dress unceremoniously scrunched up as she stood. Just one sip of the underbrewed tea sent her fleeing to the drawing room to remove the bad taste from her mouth. As soon as she was gone, Alko hesitantly took the teacup in her own hands. It was almost certainly better left untasted, but she could not help but wonder how Sojo's tea could arouse such a strong response. After one small sip, she returned it quietly to the floor.
だからティーバッグにしろって言ったのに、あのバカ。
Yeah, he should have used tea bags like I told him to. Dummy. The expression on her face was nearly identical to that of her roommates. And that was new books added to the archive. Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh no, 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 no. You can't do this to me. Oh no, 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 no. Wait, surely not. Surely. Oh yeah, wait. It's chapter 6. This is chapter 7. It's a little thing called Marfa. How long is Marfa? You know what? Do we drop frames? No, fuck it. I might take a break during it, but we're going to experience who is Martha. Walking around the mansion at night often led to mysterious encounters. Mist might suddenly fill the hallway, or doors might appear and disappear. Just when Sergio thought he had seen it all, with the pig-shaped shadows mending the carpet, he heard the sound of birds flapping coming from the sunroom.
何事
What's going on over there? As much as he had become accustomed to turning a blind eye to such occurrences, the sound of flapping wings in the sunroom was too much to ignore. And not just one bird or even two, it sounded like dozens. So many birds packed in the sunroom would inevitably lead to shattered windows and broken glass. Sergio grabbed the broom and dashed towards the sound, prepared for the worst. Oh, he bought the broom. Perhaps he was moved by his natural impulse to help, or despite self-defense. His mind flashed to what a teacher had said at school.
皆さんも部屋の整頓は心がけてくださいね。人間の自制心って環境に流されるらしいですから。
You should make sure to keep all your rooms orderly and clean. Work ethic and self-discipline will have a positive impact on your
ほら
surroundings.
それまで犯罪の少ない町だったのに一つボロボロの家ができただけで近隣住人がみんな自堕落になるというあれ。
What? Think about it. Even in a neighborhood where there isn't much crime, it only takes one ill-kept house to send a whole block into a spiral of depravity.
環
What
境
are
へ
you
の無
talking
関心
about?
さがすさんだ精神を作り上げるとか眉唾ですけど、正直なところブームだからって盗んだバイクで走り回ったり学校の廊下の窓ガラスとか割って回っちゃダメですよ。先生の仕事が増えますから。
Of course, we all have messy rooms. Don't turn into criminals, but I better not catch any of you breaking windows on the hall, going to the joy riders or stolen motorcycles because of the pain you causing your poor teacher. I don't have the energy to deal with this fucking guy. At the time, school gangs have garnered a certain reputation among youths.
窓が割れると心が荒れる
Broken windows leave the broken hearts. Sergio appreciated the basic message of the lecture he ruminated over it. The thought of broken windows had to give him a sense of urgency, as if the mansion's very moral foundations were at stake. What? His roommates were harsh enough with him already. Anything further would only lead to rampant rumors at the school about their cruelty. He had to protect the honor of the student council president. It was also concern for his own safety that sent him rushing to the sunroom. However, huh? There isn't a bird to be seen or a chirp to be heard upon his arrival.
あら
Oh, hey. Only Alice and Alco sipping afternoon tea. Only Alice and Alco sipping afternoon tea at the table that overlooked the courtyard that was present. That the dozens of birds search for his scents. Dozens of birds search for his scents, with his mountain intuition nowhere to be seen.
今ここに鳥が来なかった
Anyone see a flock of birds?
アリス見た
Iris?
さあ、もう見えないのならいないということでしょう。
Who knows? If you can't see them, there must not be any birds.
だっていないよ
You heard her. No birds. Yeah, it was a lie so blatant even Sergio could see through it.
そんなバカな
That can't be true. He for a fact they heard the flapping of a flock of birds. Unable to accept that there were really no wild animals in the room, Sergio approached the windows with suspicion. There were no feathers of any kind or any signs of birds having been outside either.
夕食鶏鍋
Right, dinner. Chicken stew, was it? Of Of course, Alka would say something like that. She watched Sojiro search desperately.
あいにく今日のバイトは魚屋さんだ。言わしてよければ土産にするけど。
Sorry, I'm working at the fish place tonight, but I got you covered if you want sardines.
イワシか
I like sardines.
私あのパイ嫌いなのよね。
Sardines, huh? I don't like sardine pie.
いえ、むしろイワシのパイとか食べたことないのよね。
Not that I ever had a chance. Ako's stand-up routine was far ahead of its time. Jojo backed away from the window and begrudgingly left the sunroom. Feeling Alice's all too familiar, inscrutable gaze upon his back.
なんだいアリ。
What's up, Alec? He just opened his mouth to ask her what she really wanted.
あいった。
Ow. A blue comet crashed into his head. It needed no explanation. It could only be Robin, the mysterious bird that appeared frequently in the mansion. Chirp, 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 it shrilled accusingly. The truth was, the tiny aggressor that assaulted him just now was the greatest of the mansion's seven wonders. Joe encountered all sorts of people along his route to work. Still new to city life, he found the crowd of people outside the station utterly fascinating. In fact, they were a highlight of his commute. No two people wore exactly the same clothes, nor walked in the same fashion. With so many people, you would think they would all melt into an indistinguishable huddle, but each person he saw was different and unique. Roger was excited as a child as he looked out at the building diverse street of the city. Stop it. Closing his eyes in shame, he sighed. So upset with himself for behaving like a bumming tourist from the countryside.
ちょっと青信号で突っ立ってられるの邪魔なんだけど、何柄にもなく黄昏てるんだか。
Hey. You'll get in people's way spacing out in front of the crosswalk like that. Daydream somewhere else. Wait, I don't think that's Aozaki. Hair. Stern familiar voice behind him snapped out of it. Okay. Oh, that must be the girl.
なんだ。
You're
マ
Martha.
ットベ
Okay.
アに行く途中
Let
だ
me
ったんだ。
guess. On your way to the Mad Bear?
ふん。
My shift at the convenience store just
私は
starts
コンビニ。
at 5.
同じく5時から。くまりはどこか寄るところでも
Saying 5 o'clock start. Were you on your way home somewhere else?
本屋に寄った帰り、読みたかった本がなくなってたから、仕方なく出歩いてたところよ。
I just stopped by a bookstore. I'm out of stuff to read, so I thought I'd look for something new.
なるほど。時間を持て余しているところも同じだね。
I see. I guess we both have some time to spare. The girl who greeted him was Kojika Kumari. a work friend who was also in the same year at Mississippi High. So it would be more accurate to say she was looking for a pretext to fight him rather than greet him. The Sojiro, Kumari had been the first person in the city he could look up to. They met at his first job, where she insisted he wasn't cut out to work the register after many mistakes and convinced him to quit working at the convenience stores altogether. In the end, she introduced him to his current job at the Chinese restaurant, the Mad Bear, a much better fit for Sojiro.
何その無理やりな顔。なんか元気ない。いつも以上にイラッとくるわ。
You look like a little worse for Peter Suzuki. Quite a long face. I've never seen you
静
so
木のいい
pouty.
ところなんていつもピシッとしてる背筋ぐらいなのに。み
Usually
っともな
standing
く
up
丸
straight
まっ
is
てる
the
し。
one thing you're good at.
もしかして悩みとかあるの？マッドベアにタチの悪い先輩でもいるとか。それなら話ぐらいは聞いてあげるから。
Something on your mind? Wait, you're getting bullied by the older guys at the Mad Bear? You can tell me anything, you know. Though her tone was stern, her eyes were earnest. Having grown up in the city herself, she was irritated by virtually everything Sojiro said and did. Nevertheless, she treated him like an equal. Introducing him to his current job was only one example of her sincerity.
いや別に悩みとかそういうんじゃなくて不思議なことがあったというか珍しいものを見たというか
No, nothing like that. It's just something strange happened, something really unusual. Maybe I don't have the mental fortitude to go through this. I actually don't know how long this is. I'm assuming like 30 minutes tops. Sojiro could not find the words to explain his situation, but did not stop him from trying. I might just talk over the dub. There were no problems with the Mad Bear to speak of. He liked it just as much as the other job at Otatsu, the fishmongers in the shopping district. In fact, his problem was nothing to do with work at all. No, his problem was a certain bluebird that would not stop pecking at him recently.
鳥につっつかれる？何それ？小さい悩み。
Became pecked by a bird. Wow, swinging the world at him.
でもまあ、青い鳥っていうのは確かに珍しいわね。
It didn't usually be for a bird to be blue, I guess. I guess they don't have bluebirds in
いや
Japan.
珍しいのは外見の話じゃなくて
And that's not the only thing unusual about it. He stopped, unsure of how to proceed. Words alone were not enough to convey the bird's plump body or the sound of its
ふ
chirping.
ん。綺麗な青色といったらマウンテンブルーバードだけど、日本にはいないわよね。
The beautiful colored bird called the mountain bluebird, but they're not
青い
native
ツバメだ
Japan.
ったらいるかもしれないけど。
It was the blue swallow?
いやツバメじゃなくて丸っこいんだ図鑑で調べたんだけどどうもコマドリっぽい
It's like a teat or a yeah, it looks more like a teat. I tried to look it up in the bird book, and the closest thing I found was a robin. Like a very young robin.
うん。青色のコマドリは存在しない。
Like they don't remain that plump. Very long. I think robin was that's our state bird, I think, for Michigan.
しずきは縁日の青ひよこって知ってる？知らないわよね。いい、そう面白い話じゃない
You
から
know those
忘れ
blue
て。
chicks that they have at fairs in the city? Of course you don't. Why would you? Just
それよ
forget
り
it.
そのコマドリって1話だけなの？
Anyway, this robin, is it the only one?
ああ1話だけだつがいは見当たらない
Yeah, there's only one. It doesn't seem to have a
う
mate.
ん。突然変異だとしたらちょっとかわいそうね。
Oh, it's the only one. I feel kind of sad
生
for
ま
it.
れた時から最後の1話だなんて。孤独にも程があるわ。
Imagine being the last one of your kind since the day you were born. Talk about
ど
lonely.
んな鳥かは知らないけど、次に見かけたら優しくしてあげたら。
自販機で10円を拾うぐらいの幸運は運んでくれるかもよ。
I have no idea what species it could be. Well, you could try being nice to it next time. It might bring you something special, like when you find a 10-yen coin in a vending machine. Her words were perfectly kind, but he could hardly sympathize with the creature after all the painful pecking to which he subjected himself to. He wouldn't have called the bird lonely either.
いいじゃない、小鳥1羽ぐらい。
If one little bird is all that's bothering you, you're lucky.
そりゃ都会で鳥につつかれるのは珍しいけど、いい方の珍事よそれ。これがゴミ袋を漁るカラスの大群だったら困りものでしょうけ
The
ど。
pecking party is weird for sure, especially in a city like this. But it'd be way worse. Imagine getting attacked by an army of crows that swarm around the dumpsters.
そういえば他にも気になることが。
Actually, there was something else bothering me too. For example, I had to remind him of the mysterious disappearance of birds at the mansion. A stranger than strange event.
実は今あそこに見える丘に住んでるんだけど。
See, that hill actually live on it. Why are you telling people
出るん
this?
だ。大量のムクドリが頻繁に。そのくせ街に出ると見かけない。
See, lots of starlings around there. But for some reason, they never come
当た
down.
り前でしょ
down.
う。街じゃ鳥なんて見かけないし、あそこは山だから動物は多いんじゃない？
Well, duh, you never see birds in town. But on a mountain like that, there are bound to be wild animals.
それよりあなた、あの山に引っ越したの？前のアパートは引き払ったって聞いてたけど、学校まで通うの大変
Why'd
じ
you
ゃない？
move all the way out there
なんだってあ
anyway?
んな偏僻なところに。
I mean, I heard you moved out of your old apartment, but isn't the pain getting to school? What are you doing out there in the boonies?
ちょっとした成り行きだよ。それに通うのは大変じゃない。大変なのは中の話なんだ。
Things work out that way, and the commute isn't hard. If anything is painful, it's happening inside that place. Huh? It took 30 minutes to reach town on foot. 40 minutes to the nearest convenience store would be the real kicker for the most people, but for Sergio, it was no inconvenience. 40 minutes? Ooh. How long does it take for me to get to... I think either way for me, it'll take 30 minutes. Maybe 20 minutes? 20 minutes if I'm at optimal pace, I think. But realistically, like closer to 30. The real problem was the dark forces behind human understanding that lurked within the ground.
すまない。それはクマリに話すことじゃなかった。
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up my complaints to you.
それより今の話だ。街には鳥が少ないと言ったけど、どうして？
We're talking about birds. This is actually the... what did I expect? This is the filler to the filler episode.
単に環境に適応できなかったのよ。
Simple. They failed to adapt to the environment.
何？鳥の話には随分と食いつくわね。
Didn't know you were so interested in birds. Are you an animal lover or something?
どちらかというと好きな方だけど。
Because I do like animals more than I dislike them.
そう、私は嫌い。そんな私に鳥の話とかしてほしい。
Really? I can't stand them. I'm surprised you didn't pick up on it sooner. Her statement could hardly be more self-contradictory. Minutes after telling him to be nice to a bird that attacked them, she was now claiming she didn't even like animals.
そうだな。嫌いなだけで苦手でないのなら、知ってる範囲で聞かせてほしい。
Well, even if you can't stand animals, I'll still like to hear what you know
見
about
たいと
birds.
こつくじゃな
Can't take a hint, huh? Let her leave so I can stop reading this dialogue.
い。いいわ、バイトまでの時間つぶしにしてあげる。
Oh my god. This is a mistake. Fine, I need to kill some time until work
さっ
starts
きの
anyway.
続き。環境に適応できるかできないかってところからね。
So like I was saying, survival is all about being able to adapt to your environment. Please, let's time skip the conversation. Please, let's
今で
time
こそ
skip.
こんなだけど、美咲はここまで大きな
It's
町
been
じゃなかったんだって
pretty。big, but it wasn't always like
昔は
this.
その半分
Half
が
of it
森
used
だ
to
っ
be
たから、
woodland,
彼
which
らは
was
もとも
closer
と
to the type
森
of
に適
environment
した
the
生
poor
活を
fiends
して
were
いた。
used to living in. The way Kumari addressed them was of note. Whether she liked them or not, she seemed to at least have some respect for them.
でも近代化した町
Nature
じゃ
ended up being the
自然
short
のサ
straw
イ
of
クル
the
も成
city
り立たない。
modernized. Humans always
人
change
間
their
っての
surroundings
はま
to
ず
suit
環
their
境を
needs
自
after
分
all.
ヤブ蚊が多いってことで
Diverting
小さな川の
streams to
流れ
get
を
rid
変
of
えたり
mosquitoes, covering
街中
everything in
コンクリー
town.
トで塗り固めちゃえば鳥
The
的には
concrete
売
were
ってあ
available
げ
to
よう。
birds.
ヤブ蚊が多いってことで小さな川の流れを変えたり街中コンクリート虫も森も少ないんじゃ
もう山に逃げるしかない。
Whatever.
彼らは故郷を追われてこの森から山に移った。
Well, enough bugs or trees, they had no choice but to flee. Chased out of their home, they moved to
人
the
間に
forest
と
to
って
the
都合のいい
mountains.
町は鳥
Convenient
たちが生
earnest
きる
for
コロニ
humans
ーに
isn't
は
the
な
kind
り
of
得ない
place
か
that
ら。
can support a colony of birds.
そんなことぐらいで減るものか。
Is that really all it took to get rid of birds in the city?
その姿を見なくなるぐらいに。
Just like that, and we never see them again?
そこまで極端じゃないとは思う。
It's not
現にあ
that
なただっ
extreme.
てムクドリを見てるでしょ。
I mean, come on. You said you see
比
starlight.
較の問題よ。町には人間が多いから鳥の姿は余計希少に感じるだけ。た
all
まに見
relative.
かけるだけで珍し
There's
いと
so
思
many
える
humans
ぐら
in
い
town.
ね。
The number of birds is a small comparison. It feels special just to spot one out here or there.
ああ、確かに。じゃあ
That's
鳥
true.
は町からいなくなっ
So
た
they all
だけ
just
で。
left town and
Ano ya-
moved to the mountains. Humans might not be able to see them in day-to-day life, but they were alive and well nonetheless. Their habit and lifestyle changed with the times, but they never truly disappeared. Sojiro's sense of relief was sharply disrupted by a serious look from Kumamari.
あの山に天敵がいなければね。
But the birds aren't safe in the
人間の
mountains.
手による乱獲か移った先にいる生態系との衝突か、どちらにせよ
There's still
居場所を
overfishing by
失った
humans and
彼らの
conflict
寿
between
命
the
は
birds
短い
and
と
the new
思う。
ecosystem.
一世紀
With
持てばいい方
everything
かもし
going
れない。
on, I doubt they'll last very long. Even a century might be
旅行
optimistic.
鳩の例もあるし、気がついた時には取り返しつかないのが動物と人間の関係よ。
Just look at what happened to the passenger pigeons. Once humans notice what they've done, it's already too late. That's how it always is.
旅行
True.
鳩。
What are passing pigeons?
そう、旅行鳩。体長は40センチほどもある大型の綺麗な鳥。
Oh, they were large, beautiful birds, about 16 inches
オ
from
ス
head
の
to
翼
tail.
は深い青色で、胸は鮮やかなエンジ色。オレンジ色の目は嘘みたいに愛らしくて、その羽は時速100キロで長い距離を旅するの。
The males were deep blue with vivid red on their breasts. The cutest part was their orange eyes, like something out of a book. They can even fly up to 60 miles per hour over great distances. You know a lot about these. Voice had a certain tenderness to it. She was daydreaming about birds she had never seen in the flesh.
北アメリカにいた鳩でね、春は南から北へ、冬は冬越えのために北から南に移動するの。
They were a type of pigeon native to North America, or so they used to fly north in the spring and back south in the winter until it got warm
今から
again.
100年以上も前の話よ。
But that was over a century
彼ら
ago.
はかつて地上で最も繁殖した高等動物だった。
They used to be the most common higher animal on
何
Earth.
しろその数は50億。
There's
当時の
5
総
billion of
人
them.
口より多かったっていうんだから。
In total, that's more passenger pigeons than human. Pretty amazing, right? How do we tell her about the future?
なんと
This isn't the 80s
人間
anymore.
より数の多い動物がいたっていうのか。
Wow, I never thought about an animal being more common than humans. I mean, ants are like the dominant species on Earth in terms of intelligent life.
うん。でも彼らは絶滅したわ。他ならぬ人間の手によって。
Yeah, I know, but now they're all extinct thanks to those same
16
humans.
世紀にヨーロッパからアメリカ大陸にやってきた探検家たちは空を覆い尽くすほどの鳥の群れを見た。
Sailors in Europe who went to Americas in the 16th century mentioned flocks of passenger pigeons so vast they covered the entire
それ
sky.
が旅行鳩を記した一番古くて確かな記録。
Those are the oldest written references to them we have. Why do you know this?
私も本で知った知識だけど、
Books are the only ways to know anything about
太
them these
陽を
days.
隠してそのおびただしい数で森を覆って雪のように糞を落としていく光景なんて今じゃもう夢物語でしょうね。
It's hard to imagine so many birds that they block out the sun, cover whole forests, and rain down droplings like snow. It sounds like something out of a
で
dream,
も
doesn't
当
it?
時の人にとっては悪夢だった。
People back then, it was more like a
旅
night.
行鳩一羽一羽は美しいフォルムをしていてもそれだけの数が集まれば
Sure,
それはもう暴力なんだから。
each individual bird was beautiful, but together they amounted to a violent force of nature.
彼らはその時点では森を破壊し人間を脅かす悪魔のような存在だっ
They were
た。
downright demonic, with the power to destroy forests and threaten
営
everyone.
巣地は 10km にまで及んで1コロニーにつき5万羽近い鳥の鳴き声が響いたのよ。
Their nesting grounds were up to 6 miles wide, and just one colony could have 50,000 birds in it. So you can imagine how loud it
一
got.
瞬にして風景を変えるほどの鳥の群れと世界を覆うほどの鳴き声。冒険家たちが救んだのもうなずけるわね。
Flocka birds so big it could instantly transform the landscape and cover the whole land with its cries. I can see why the settlers were scared at first.
一つの住処に5万羽
50,000 birds, all in one spot? Joe trailed off at an attempt to count the number with his digits. He could barely count the number of people in the crowd outside the station. This would be far beyond his capacity.
でもそんな数の鳥を人間の手でどうやって
But there were so many of them, how could humans wipe them out?
ええ、当時誰もがそう思ったんでしょうね。
Good question. No one back then thought it was possible
でも
either.
話は簡単だったの。人間にとって旅行鳩は脅威でもあったけど、同時
But
に
it's simple when you realize the pasture
安価な実りでもあ
pigeons
った
were
から。
both a threat and a cheap commodity.
渡り鳥の胸肉は美味しいでしょ？よく鍛えられてるから。
All the flying was what made the meat of migratory birds so
そんな
delicious to
食
eat.
材が空に向かって鉄砲を撃つだけでバタバタと落ちてきたとしたら、
All you had to do was
あなたはどう
point
する？
your gun in the air and bang. And there's dinner. What would you do in their
ま
shoes?
あ身も蓋もないことを言えば、旅行鳩って鳥は簡単にお金にできる生き物だった。
But the passenger pigeons were a species that could easily be converted into cold hard
かく
cash.
して狩りは延々と続けられた。
Naturally, hunting went
落
on
ち
and
た鳥
on.
は羽をむしられて塩漬けの樽に押し込まれて次々と出荷された。
People would pluck their feathers, stick them in a barrel with salt, and ship
そ
them
れは
out.
もう狩りですらなかった。ただの消費。人間側は労働の実感も作業の手間
It
すら
wasn't
感じな
hunting
くなっ
after
て
a
いた。
point, just consuming a resource. It didn't feel like work or labor to people
そ
doing
の
it.
頃、旅行鳩は1羽1セントで手に入れることができたんだって。
In those days, you could get a
ここで言う
whole
ならたった
passenger
1
pigeon
円。
for 1 cent. That's roughly equal to
ほ
1
ん
yen.
と。信じられる？
Can you believe it?
その国最小の通貨1枚で売買される命がこの地球にはあったなん
Smallest
て。
denomination of currency in society was enough to purchase an entire life. Kumari spoke as if reciting from a textbook. Her voice nevertheless had a certain darkness to it. Was it pity for the slain birds or disgust for her fellow man? Either way, the passenger pigeon's fate was a cruel joke carried out by humanity, typical, some might say. Poor Sergio had yet to comprehend just how typical that side of humanity was.
けどそれはまだまだ序の口で、本番は19世紀に入ってか
That
らだっ
was only
た。
the beginning. The real damage began in the 19th
人
century.
間の旅行鳩狩りはますます熱狂していった。
Passenger pigeon hunting became more popular than
学校で
before.
習ったでしょ？
Remember
ドラッシ
learning
ュ
about the gold rush
南
in
北
the
戦
American
争を経
Civil
て
War?
アメリカ合衆国は急
America
激
was
に成長してい
expanding
く。
readily fast back then.
西欧からの移民は増え続け、1870年には4000万もの人口に達していたわ。そんな移民たちの胃袋と財布を満たす材料として
Immigrants kept flooding in
旅
from
行
Europe,
バトは最
and
高の
by
獲物だった。
1870, there were 40 million people living in America. Passenger pigeons were the perfect thing for their purses and stomach.
で、もっと最悪なことに、人間
It
は
was
工
just
夫する
how
生き物だっ
scheming
た。
people were.
彼らはより早く、より多く、より簡単に旅行バトを乱獲する手段を競い合った。
They competed the fastest, most efficient way to catch as many passenger pigeons as
目を
possible.
潰した鳩をおとりにして集団を誘い込んで1日で1万羽以上捕らえたやつさえいた。それでも彼らは乱獲に疑問すら持たなかった。繁殖と狩猟のバランスは誰が見ても明らかに狂っていたのに。
Any sane person could see that the balance began between breeding and hunting was clearly out of whack. She was doing everything she could to speak in calm, measured tones. Sergio, meanwhile, was completely enraptured by her words. Having been raised in the mountains, it was by no means a happy story for him, but rather he was more interested in knowing why it ever happened in the first place.
それ一方的すぎないか？旅行バトだって数が減ってくれば人間には近寄らないんじゃ。
Okay, you idiot. So something seems off about that. If their numbers were decreasing so fast, the passenger pigeons should have tried harder to avoid humans.
そこが彼らの不幸だったのよ。
That's where they were
旅
unlucky.
行バトは繁殖力が非常に弱くて自衛手段を持たない鳥だった。大群で暮らすこと、それだけが彼らの身を守る手段だったの。
They had already low fertility rates and no means of protecting themselves. All they knew to do was live together in groups. That was their only form of self-defense.
彼らが50億の王国を築けたのはそれまで天敵がいなかったからなんでしょうね。先住民であるインディアン
Passenger
も
pigeons managed to
彼らを
build
乱
an
獲することは
empire
なかったと
of
いうし、
5 billion only because they lacked natural predators. Indigenous people did not hunt them either.
けど
apparently.
入植者たちは自然のサイクルには点で
It was
疎かった。
settlers who wrecked the local ecosystem.
何よりあのおびただしい数の鳥が絶滅するなんて夢にも思わなかった。
No one ever imagined in their wildest dream that so many birds can
旅
go
行バト
extinct.
にしたら晴天の霹靂よ。まさか
Passenger
何世紀も遅れて
couldn't
海
have
の
been
向こう
prepared
から
for
天
predators,
敵がやってくるなんて。
showing up centuries later out of the blue across the ocean.
そうして1896年人間はたったの25万羽。
Finally, in 1896, humans began to realize that their crazed enthusiasm had brought about a 250,000 passenger
それ
pigeons.
が確認された旅行バトの総数。何もかも手遅れよ。急いで保護法が作られたけど人間の習慣はそう簡単には変わらないわ。
That's how they estimate. How many they estimated were still alive, but it was too late. The government tried passing laws to protect them, but the human habits are hard to break.
あるいは狩人たちはこう思ったのかもしれない。
Or maybe the hunters just fought the 250,000 passenger pigeons still
まだ
left.
25万羽もいるじゃないか。
That taking 1 or
1000羽や
2,000
2000羽ぐらいなら独り占めしても構わないだろうっ
in the
て。
greater scheme of things.
そうしてハンターたちは当時最新の技術電報で旅行バトたちの所在を知らせ合って実に20万羽の旅行バトを仕留め4万羽を傷つけた。
Hunters started using the latest technological breakthrough, the telegraph, to keep track of where the passenger pigeons were. Soon, they were shot down to 200,000 and injured 40,000
生き
more.
延びたのは5000羽だけ。 この時点で彼らは野生で生きられる種ではなくなったのよ。
We left 5,000 passenger pigeons in the world, and at that point they could no longer survive in the wild. Tojo's face sunk into a scowl. No longer able to survive in the wild, he knew all too well what that phrase meant. No animal can last long on its own. No animal can survive without a sufficiently large population of their fellow kind and sufficient feeding grounds to support the group. Strength in their massive numbers was all the passenger pigeons ever had, and so once that was gone, they were as good as extinct.
それで旅行バトはどうなったんだ？
What happened to them in the end, though?
最後に保護された旅行バトはたったの3羽。
Eventually, there was only 3 left.
シンシナティの動物園ではオス2羽、メス1羽の旅行バトが飼育されたけど、1年でオスたちは死んじゃったわ。
2 males and 1 female were kept in captivity in the Cincinnati Zoo. Within the year, both the
残
males
されたのは
died.
メス1羽だけ。
Only the female was
その
left.
時点で彼女は地上で最も孤独な生き物になった。
At that moment, when the other 2 died, she became the single loneliest creature on
名
Earth.
前はマーサ。
Her name was Martha.
北アメリカを旅する鳥たちの最後の1羽でありながら、ただの一度も空を
The
飛ぶ
last
こと
of
が
her
できなかっ
species
た
that
カゴの
had
鳥。
once soared over North America. She could never fly free again, trapped forever in her
結
cage.
局29年で彼女はその命を終えたわ。
At the age of 29, she finally passed away.
1914年9月1日午後1時。
It happened at 1 o'clock on September 1st,
一つの
1914.
種が終わる時間がここまで正確に残っている例は
The only
今の
case
ところこれだ
in
けよ。
all of Earth's history where we know the exact moment a species went extinct. The story of 5 billion deaths had finally come to an end. The birds had been swallowed up by the machinations of human civilization. Kumari had intended to show her sympathy for the lost species, but the emotional impact had clearly been all but lost on
意
Sojourn.
外。できるだけ私的に語ったつもりだけど受け悪いみたい。
Huh? I tried to make it all sound all poetic and tragic, but I guess
生
I
育
failed.
ちのあなたには憤慨者の話だと思ったのに。
Aren't you angry at someone raised around nature in the mountains?
いや、すごい話だったけど、
Oh, it's definitely an amazing
そ
story.
の整理がつかなくて、当時の人たちは自分たちの手で減らしておいた
But
の
doesn't
に、
make sense. Why would
なんで
humans keep
最後は
passenger
保護したの
pigeons
か
in
って。
capacity after working so hard to kill them? I swear the Japanese lines they are saying are so immensely longer than whatever the fuck the translation is giving me. It's irritating me. When I reach the 3-hour mark, it irritates me. It vexes me. Kumari stared blankly at him, eyebrows raised high. What he likely meant to say was that humans would protect the last of the species. Why would humans protect the last species? They themselves had hunted to extinction. Kumari could hardly be blamed for her bewilderment. Having been raised in the city, she failed to recognize the danger inherent in his cluelessness. He felt neither anger nor anger towards humans, for their base selfishness, nor sympathy for the birds, who remained in their natural habitat even at the cost of their lives. His upbringing had not privileged him with the necessary sense of self-righteousness to produce feelings in either direction.
相変わらずよくわかんないや
You
つ
don't。get it, do you?
まあ私が言いたかったのはどんなに強く美しく見えても
My
居
point
場
was
所
that
か
no
ら
matter
奪わ
how
れた生き
strong
物
and
は
beautiful
儚
animals
ないっ
might
て
be,
こと。
they just stand a chance outside their natural
Shizuki-kun.
habitat. Think about it,
あなた
Suzuki.
が見た鳥はその最後の一羽かもしれないわよ。
The bird you might be complaining about might be the very last of its kind. And with that, their idle conversation came to an end. It was nearly time for their shifts to begin, and Shoji was the first to head off.
らしくない。
What was I thinking?
何熱く語ってたんだ
Like
ろう
me to
私。
rant like that. Kumari remained in the park after Sojiro left. Marfa, the last of her species. She had not been referring to the blue bird when she was mentioned Marfa, but
やめやめ。珍しいから特別視するとかバカみたいだし。
stop it. Thinking something special just because it's rare is dumb. rubbed the back of her head, apparently angry at herself for getting involved in something that was none of her business. She and Sojo were not even in the same class at school. He was a total stranger as far as she was concerned. The more something bothered her, the more she felt compelled to investigate it. It was a personal quirk of hers, and the only reason she had gotten so worked up about the passenger provisions. Wait. Corey, well-groomed bro frowed. She had only spoken to Sojo to make sure he was doing okay at the Mad Bear, or maybe it was that she had been strangely drawn to him. The more they spoke, the more she felt drawn to him.
まあ見てて頼りないってのが一番だろうけど
So the less guy you
話して
rely
み
on.
るとしっかりしすぎてるのよね
But when you get to talking to him and you realize he's really got it together. Amidst her muttered complaint, she recalled their conversation upon parting.
で少しは街に慣れた
So, gotten used to everything yet? To which he had given a weak shake of his head.
全然何にせよ覚えなくちゃいけない
Not
こ
at
とが
all.
多すぎて
There's so many things to keep track of. He was trying his best to keep up the overwhelming amount of new information every day. However, despite his apparent naivete and frailty, he was in fact trying to learn everything he could about his new surroundings. But at the same time, there was no reason he needed to be so overwhelming in the first place. It was only due to his own natural, naively subordinate frame of mind that he felt compared to memorize each and every detail. My eyes are glazing over.
素直っていうのはちょっと違
I
う
never
と
got
思う
that
よ
water. I wonder if I don't think I'm exactly being
単
supported
に
it.
それがいいことか悪いことかまだ分かってないだけかもしれないし
Fact is, I'm still just figuring out what's right and wrong. Hey, Hazel Gaming, what's up? I'm trying to wrap up this extra chapter, chapter 7.
そうね
What?
でももしかしたらそもそも
Oh, it's actually 1 a.m., so it's kind of, you know, good morning, Hazel. How are you doing? Right, but maybe, just maybe, Kamari stopped herself mid-train of thought, deciding to instead wave goodbye and take her leave. Yeah. Doing pretty good? I'm glad to hear that. It was alright. I mean, I'm coming off of a trip from Chicago that was really good, so it's kind of like a return to normalcy a little bit. She sighed aloud every time she replayed the scene in her head. What about you? You do anything interesting today, this week? Work at the convenience store started in 5 minutes. She gave herself a light slap on the face in an effort to forget their conversation. She reminded herself that she had neither the energy to worry about others despite others' problems, nor the obligation to do so. Not too much. Okay. She had her own concerns saving up enough money for college, for example. Fighting against her parents' opposition every night was draining enough. There was no room for burdening herself with other students' issues. By the way, you seem like you're new to streaming, are you? Relatively, yeah. Relatively new to streaming.
でももしかしたらそもそもか
Right, but maybe, just maybe. It's not like her to get so tongue-tied when she fought to herself under a strained smile.
ほんとはっきり言ってやればよかった
Should be my point more clearly. I should have made my point more clearly. I just dropped the follow? I don't think you did. And this has me worried because the last several bots that appeared when I played this game have the same sort of dialogue. Hazel, who made their account this month. No, you didn't. I think your alert may be off. It's not, and the activity feed would alert me if it wasn't. Hazel, you I should have made my point more
あ
clearly.
なたは単にそういうのに関わる気がこれっぽっちもないんじゃないのかって。
I should have flat out asked if he cares about all the human morality. He really did annoy her. Now in a thoroughly bad mood, she left the park in a huff. So maybe possibly the network is having some issues. Yeah, Hazel. I'm not interested in the AI art you're pushing for streamers or whatever. And I assume that's the next line of dialogue that the last 5 bots have been pushing. Sergio entered the drawing room after work with a gift of sardines for his roommates. He came face to face with Alice sitting on the sofa.
Yeah.
He actually brought the
こんばんは、ア
sardines.
リス。
Oh. Hi, Alice. Okay, Hazel. Okay. Sorry for the accusation, if you are real. But the dead internet theory is kind of going rampant on the website. The sense of familiarity to be able to say I'm home when entering the mansion still eluded Sojiro. I guess what got you curious in the Witch on the Holy Nights or this stream in general? Like, how'd you even get here? Honestly. I'm always curious to see how people like jump in. I don't imagine like a visual novel category have that many people going in and out. And I don't remember what my tags are, so. Sense of familiarity to be able to say I'm home when entering the mansion still eluded Sojiro. He headed straight to the kitchen to fill a bucket with water to keep the sardines fresh. But the icy stare on his back sent him anxiously to the refrigerator instead. One second. Buckets are not allowed in the kitchen, remember? He calmly accepted the change in plans. He shoved the sardines into the fridge and peeked back into the drawing room.
アリス、青崎は？
Alice, have you seen Aozaki?
さあ、自分の部屋にいるか出かけて
Well,
いるんでし
either
ょ
she's in her room or she's gone out somewhere. Her reply was curt. He nodded and got work cleaning the kitchen. There was nothing in particular he wanted to say to her, and also sensed that it would not be a good idea to start up a conversation needlessly. So he tidied up the sink area, washed the cutting board, wiped down the knives, and put away the cutlery so that he could easily found. Her black eyes monitored every action in his streamlined workflow. A rhythm that even the most seasoned housekeeper would be envious of. He would surely notice her gaze before too long. He bent over to store a large pot under the sink when it happened. As he began to stand back up, he locked eyes with Alice. And then... What the fuck is that? Oh, wait, could the bird talk? Ow. Before he could make another move, he felt something slam into the back of his head, a bright shock of blue. He knew what it was without looking. He could only be the mansion's blue robin.
洋館に戻ってくるなり、 コマ撮りに呼び出される。
Why does the thing have to start messing with me as soon as I get home? Sergio muttered under his breath. It was a rare situation that made Sergio feel like complaining. It was a rare situation that made Sergio feel like complaining.
小僧、ちょっとそこに座るっす。
Pull up a chair, boy. The robin chirped in its shrill tone. You see, this creature that loved to attack Sergio so was the greatest the man just made me wonder. And with good reason.
舐めてるっすね。自分コマ撮りだって舐めてるっすね。ところで鶏鍋ってどういうことっすか？それ美味しいっすか？今度見舞ってほしいっす。
What? You got a bird bath, mate. You think you're better than me, eh? What the bully hills that chicken stew supposed to mean anyway? Got something against Richard III? What are you talking about? Like so. Sergio had an inkling into what the bird was getting at. For someone raised in the mountains, this was another nightmare. Animals were not supposed to be able to talk. Then again, having lived in the mountains for over a decade, he did sometimes feel like he could understand what birds were trying to say. He knew it was just a little imagination, but sometimes he thought they even saw him as a friend. That was not the case with this bird. Sergio had the realist attitude toward wild animals as a result of being so familiar with them, in contrast to the ever mysterious humans who lived in the city.
しかし、現実だ。
It's real. It's really talking to me. As much as he wanted to deny the reality he was facing, he could not help but recall Kumari's story. She said to try and be nice to the bird next time he saw it. According to her, any rare or one-of-a-kind creatures must accordingly feel very lonely.
座れって言ってるのに仕方っすか？
I said, sit your pipe and drum down. You hear me all right, mate?
あ
What
ー
does
で
he
も
say?
椅子ないっすねここ。じゃあ立ってるっす。小坊主だけに廊下に立ってるのがお似合いっす。
Hang on, there's no chair in here. Alright, stand. I mean, I stood up with you enough for the both of us.
あれ？今
What?
はうまいこと言ったっすかね自分。
Is this? I would say Kanji's British. I'm guessing the bird is British? Get it? Pretty clever, if I say so myself. The bird perched itself on the telephone receiver, seemingly worn out from all the flapping. Pedro was dumbfounded. Listening in silence to the bird's chatter was his way of expressing his denial.
自分長いっす。プロイ歴長いっすよ。
I'm pretty old, you know, and I counted my long career as a ploy.
マイ女神の頃からアリスさんに仕えてるっす。なんで青いかとかどうでもいいっす。
Sir Miss Alice from around the goddess mom was around. Don't ask why I'm blue.
特技はズバリ探偵役と被害者役。
That's like the
で
biggest
も
question
探偵
you
である
have.
自分が真っ先に
Why
コ
are
ロ
you
コロ
blue?
するんで、誰が自分を殺したか結局
And
誰
he
も
sounds
わ
like
からない
such
っ
a
す。
twerp, too. He sounds like such a twerp. My best skills are playing the detective and the victim. But my detective side always dies first, so no one can ever figure out who killed me.
プロイ。あ、待ってくれ。それには聞き覚えがある。プロイって何な
You're
んだ？
employed. I've heard that word before. What does it mean again?
何なんだと言われても困るっす。
Say what is? You asking what I is?
エロいとか役いいとかの最上級じゃないっすか？
I don't know what to feel right now. Sexy or terrified? What? Thusly, the conversation began between the two most powerless residents of the Kwanji estate. Humankind and birdkind, able to understand one another after all. Tojiro was tied to letting the bird get to him. Tired of letting the bird get to him. Fully aware that no one get more energy than it was worth. Filled with a sense of resignation, by the time he finally did make an attempt to interject, both parties' guards were firmly down. Tojiro was focused on how rare the bird was. I'm confused on how long this aside is. While Robin was focused on his showdown with his rival, that was to be eliminated at all costs.
いいっすよ細けいことは。そんなことよりマイ天使アリスさんの話をするっす。
So get your knickers in a twist. Let's talk about something more important, like my beloved Miss Alice and the angel mom herself. Huh?
なんとアリスって天
She's
使
an
なのか
angel? It was impressive sign of progress that he did not need to ask what an angel
ヒユっす。自分にとって天使のような存在ってことっす。下界の喧騒とか自分の言葉をガン無視するところとかマジ天使。
Hey, bruv. Another angel. An angel. That's... Oh, I'm losing my ability to read. The way she's above the hustle and bustle of the masses. The way she doesn't give me the time of day. Absolutely angelic, I tell you.
アリスさんは神聖不可侵にして冷酷非道。マイ女神であったところの母君とはちょっと毛色が違うっす。
She's holy and scared. Sacred she is. But she's cruel and inhuman. Pretty fitting for an angel, don't you think?
正直母君ちょっと育て方間違ったっすね。
Honestly, sometimes I think God's mom didn't do the best job raising angel moms.
そうかそりゃアリスにもお母さんはいるん
Okay,
だ
so
よ
Alice has a mom.
この家にはいない
Yes,
ようだけど
Sojiro, yes. I thought she didn't have any family at all. No, Sojiro, no, bro.
悲しいことに見まかられたっす。あの頃は前衛の鳥が鳴いたっす。アリスさんに負けないぐらい美しかったっす。あとでアルバムとか見るっすか？6ペンスで手を打つっすよ。
She has one, all right. What's the sob story, in it? All the birds in England cried out that her mom's even more smashing than Alice. Got photos later if you like, for only 6 pence. How about it, lad?
いや
Don't even
そういう
joke,
のは本
lad.
人の許しがないと
Oh, no thanks. I wouldn't want to do that without her permission, Sojiro said earnestly as he tilted his head. The reason for his unease was due to the fact that he'd grown more interested in Alice than before. Despite his detached and passive attitude, he was still a young man like any other, after all.
イエス、それはそうっすね。
And right you be, lad.
お前シャバ像の割にいいこと言うっす。人の過去花とかみだりにしちゃいけないっす。
You're right. You make some sense for a feral human. You're right. I shouldn't go blabbing about people's past.
ところでアリスさんの子供時代の話とかしていいっすか？自分シャバ像の知らねえアリスさんを赤裸々にアピールして精神的上位に立ちたいっす。
It made me feel like a heap. Oh gosh, whatever.
あいや
I wanna
だ
go
か
to
ら
bed.
そういう話は
I wanna go to bed. Alright, just like I said, I don't want to.
安心しろっす。アリスさんには黙っておいてやるっすから。
Line up, lad. I won't tell us by little rabbit in port. This is English that I
まず
have
は
never
アリスに
experienced before.
自分とアリスさんが初めて出会った時のメモリーを聞くっすよ。アリスさんああ見えて友達一人しかいなかったっすからもっぱら自分が話し相手っつうか。
Let me see. Let me start with the day we first met. Despite her look, she didn't have so much as a single friend in the world. You see, I was the only one that Mother of Pearl had to talk
ほ
to.
ら壁相手にカコーンカコーンってピンポン玉打ち返すゲームあんな感じっす。アリスさんのメモリーはおよそ14年分。じゃあ1年目から行くっすよ。
Imagine playing that game where you bounce a ball against the wall by your lonesome. It was just like that. 14 years of memories with her I have. Let me start at the beginning.
いやだから
I just said.
行くっすよ
Here we go.
誰も自分を止められないっす。
Because it's gonna get good. What the fuck? Never mind. I hate this bird. This bird was trouble. The word bird brain had taken a whole new meaning to Zojiro. If you were stuck listening here any longer, you'd think you might hear something he would not be able to unhear.
すまないそろそろいいかな
Sorry, but I should really get going. But wave his hand, he attempted to flee to the attic above the second floor.
待つっす。ここからがいいところなのになんで去るっすか。スカーレット・オハラ
O'Hara
激動の
reference?
主人公気取りっすか。
Just 1 minute, boy. What do you think is the best? You're about to miss the best part. Who do you think you are? Scarlett O'Hara. You think you're the most important character in the war? In this
その
war?
あたり自分なんか納得いかないっす。
What is he
ま
talking
だうち
about,
に入ったば
dog?
かりの新参者がなんでアリスさんの視点を独
Hey,
り
you
占
just
めしてる
yapping.
っす
I'm
か
not reading all this, brother.
許
I'm
せ
going
な
to
いっ
bed
すけど
in a
その
second.
秘訣を教
I'm
えて
ready.
ほしいっす。
I'm almost ready to just skip
切
this
実
whole
に
side chapter.
自分本気出したらすごいっすよ。
You're not fooling me, that's for sure. You're the saucepan and lit like you're getting all Angel Mom's attention. Like, what? Why you're all that she looks at? I can't stand it. You better tell me your secret. I'm serious, and you never want to see me get serious. What is this bird on? What? After up the stairs, your soldier will quickly retrace his steps.
君、今のはどういう
What did you just say?
だからアリスさん好きあらばお前を見てるっす。
Whenever Angel Mom has a moment to spare, she starts watching you like a hawk. That's what.
思い出したんすよ。そもそも自分熱視線でサーチされてるからって突き上がるなと釘刺しに来たんす。
I just want to make sure you don't get any big ideas just because she's looking over with that burning look in her mince
だ
pies.
いたいその字は何度も自分に助けられて
These
るっ
aren't
す。
humans, brother. Dude, this is not. I don't refuse to believe this is how people talked at any point in time. I've already saved you more times than you know, Mr. Son.
アリスさんの命令がなかったら今頃その字鏡の中でおだぶつっす。これなん
Once
す
her
か
Mrs.
ね
Alice's orders,
人
she's
間の
stuck in
感
some
情
old
とかわか
mirror.
んないっすけど
You know.
魚辺に砂
It's
糖と
really
か
gone.
書くっすかね
It's just the crazy rubber and glove that you humans always get all Moby Dick over. What are you saying?
助けられてるって俺が
You're saying she saved me. Alice saved me.
まあ殺そうとしてるのもアリスさんっすけどね。
Yeah, well, she's also the one trying to kill you, so get off.
アリスさんはこう言ったっす。彼が鏡の中に迷い込みそうになったら助けてあげて、危険なものには近寄らないように誘導もしてあげて、でも思い上がらないことにしず
About
き
whatever. I don't care. 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 I'm done. I'm done. I don't care about this fucking bird. I can't read this dialogue any longer. With a swift, unsettling strike of her hand, Alice squashed the bird right then and there, as it sat on the telephone receiver stand in the foyer. Her pressed palm continued to pin it down. The bird crushed form resembled a bright rubber ball, like what a child might play with.
アリスさん暗いっす。
Hey, what's the big idea, Miss
そ
Alice?
して痛い。体中の血液がくちばしからこ
You're
う
killing me.
右方向に流れていく感覚
I
と
can
か。
feel the blood in my body gushing out of me.
「これの言うことは気にしないで」
Ignore everything the bird says. After returning to our room, taking the bird with her, her dark silhouette cloaked the shadow and complete opposite the gaudy little bird. This side chapter was truly unremarkable. It has answered all of my questions about the bird, and I've concluded I don't give a fuck about the bird. Actually, thank you. Jojo folded his arms as he stood alone, no less confused than before, and whispered, I thought the bird was a red herring.
こうして
I've learned
ます
that
ます疑
it
問は
is
増えていくのだった
beyond a gag character that I could deal with. Things get stranger by the day around here. Up at the night sky, visible through the skylight. Yeah, never reading. And if you ever do a reread, never doing that chapter again. Skipping Martha. Or I guess maybe I'll read the first half about Martha, but skipping this blue board arc. That was a choice that I never want to do again. I'm going to bed. That chapter pissed me off. Okay. I'm done. I'm irritated.